Aloha and good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Councilmember Tolba, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Also, Councilmember Tolba, will you kindly introduce our guest giving the message of Aloha?
Thank you, Chair. Please join me in welcoming Pastor Mike Kai, founder of Inspire Church, who's here to share the message of Aloha. Since starting Inspire Church in 2001, his wife Lisa have grown the small church into a thriving multi-site community. I've asked him to speak to us today because Inspire Church does a tremendous amount of community outreach in District 9, serving homeless, underprivileged, and working in partnership with our District 9 team to improve our community. Mahalo, Pastor Mike, for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. Good morning, Council Chair Waters. Thank you, Council members, everyone in the chamber, and people who are online. My name is Mike Kai. I am, as you said, the pastor of Inspire Church. I'm very, very thankful, in particular, for council members Tupola and Tolba, who have done a great job on our side of the island, where mainly our congregation comes from the west side, where a lot of their constituents are. I'm very grateful to be here. Originally, I'm from the Big Island, so I'm born and raised in Honoka'a. My family comes from Hilo. I'm very, very interested in what God is doing in these islands. The first thing I want to say, I never ran my talk or my message of Aloha through Augie. I did not do that. I said, "You're going to trust me?" He said, "I trust you." So of course, I pray and I ask the Lord, what do you want me to speak on? I really felt impressed that God wanted me to speak about the Aloha spirit, or the spirit of Aloha. When we talk about the spirit of Aloha, when I begin to talk about what does it mean to have the Aloha spirit, it's interesting to try to talk about something that you feel actually comes naturally. It comes naturally to us, but to be able to explain what it means, I had to do a little bit of research on where that came from. First of all, we live in a beautiful place. These islands are some of the most beautiful islands in the world. We are blessed to live here. Not only are these islands beautiful, but it's the people. The people are amazing here. It's like when you move somewhere, you go somewhere, and people hear your accent, they know that you must be from Hawaii. It's the way that you carry yourself. It's the way that you love people. It's the way that you care for other people. There's something special about people from Hawaii. When I began to look at this, I recall that in statehood in August 21st in 1959, when Hawaii became the 50th state, Reverend Abraham Akaka, who was the kahu just across the street, gave an impromptu service and a message and a sermon that would live forever. And this is where he coined us the Aloha state, or the people of the Aloha spirit. I want to tell you that it's more than the food. We have the best potlucks anywhere. It's more than the people, and it's more than the beaches. It is something that's innate. It's something in our DNA. I want to talk about for what Reverend Akaka said. He said at Kawaihao Church, he said, but when the Aloha spirit, the spirit of Aloha, is perpetuated, cultivated, and adopted, that's what makes Hawaii so different and special. He said, yes, the Creator God, Akua, protected these islands, the most isolated land group in the world, from foreign discovery for 1,778 years after the birth of the carpenter in Bethlehem. It would take another 42 years before the missionaries arrived at Kauai on Hawaii Island to bring the gospel. He goes on to say that this meaning of Aloha feels especially grateful that the discovery and development of our islands long ago was not couched in the context of imperialistic and exploitative national power, but in this context of Aloha. There is a correlation between the charter under which the missionaries namely came to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, to cover these islands with productive green fields, and to lift the people to a high state of civilization. A correlation between this and the fact that Hawaii is not one of the trouble spots in the world today or in the United States, but one of the spots of great hope. Aloha does not exploit a people or keep them in ignorance or subservience. arrogance. Rather, it shares the sorrows and the joys of people. It seeks to promote their true good of others. The late, great Eugene Peterson, paraphrasing 1 Corinthians 13, says, Aloha never gives up. Aloha cares more for others than for self. Aloha does not want what it doesn't have. Aloha doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others, isn't always me first. Doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't revel when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of truth, puts up with anything, trusts God always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going on until the end. The Reverend Abraham Akaka was joined by the mayor at that time, Mayor Blaisdell, who went across the street to hear this impromptu sermon of celebration. He ends by saying, on March 13, 1959, on August 21st, 1959, he said, we do not understand the meaning of aloha until we realize its foundation is the power of God at work in the world. Since the coming of our missionaries in 1820, the name for God to our people has been aloha. One of the first sentences I learned from my mother, he said, in my childhood, was a holy scripture, aloha keakua. In other words, God is love. Aloha is the power of God seeking to unite what is separated in the world, the power that unites heart with heart, soul with soul, soul with life, culture with culture, race with race, nation with nation. Aloha is the power that can reunite when a quarrel has brought separation. Aloha is the power that that reunites a man with himself when he has become separated from the image of God within. Thus, when a person or a people live in the spirit of aloha, they live in the spirit of God. And among such people whose lives so affirm their inner being, we see the working of Scripture. All things work together for the good of them who love God. From aloha to God came his Son, that we might have life and that we might have it more abundantly. Aloha consists of the new attitude of heart, he says, above negativism, above legalism, is the unconditional desire to promote the true good of other people in a friendly spirit out of a sense of kinship. Aloha seeks to do good with no conditions attached. We do not do good only to those who do good to us. One of the sweetest things about the love of God, about aloha, is that it welcomes the stranger and seeks his good. A person who has the spirit of aloha loves when the love is not returned, and such is the love of God. Thank you for your time. I pray your meetings go well today. Aloha.
Amen, Pastor. Thank you so much. Before we start our meeting, I have a few procedural announcements to make. Although remote testimony is being permitted, this is a regular meeting and not a remote meeting by interactive conference technology under HRS 92-3.7. Therefore, the meeting will continue notwithstanding loss of audiovisual communication with remote testifiers or loss of the public broadcast system of the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda, either in person, in council chamber, or remotely. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution, and Section 1-13 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, members of the public may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time, as may be necessary, will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. Before testifying, each person shall state their full name and the agenda item they are testifying on. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 3-minute presentation on public hearing and new business items and a 1-minute presentation on all other items. Registered in-person testifiers will be called first. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium and begin by stating your name and the item you'll be speaking on. When I call for anyone who has not registered to speak in person, please line up to the right of the podium, and when it is your turn, proceed to the podium. Begin by stating your name and the item you'll be speaking on. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference or phone will then be called. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. When I call for anyone else standing by remotely, please utilize the Zoom raise hand button to indicate your desire to speak. For those joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. The following are some friendly reminders and tips. Video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are also watching the proposed proceeding on Olelo, please mute your television when you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. For those who are joining us by telephone only, I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, press *6 to unmute yourself when prompted. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the proposed agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of the meeting. For your information, Resolution 25-206, confirming the nomination of Kevin D. Auger to serve as the Director of Housing and Land Management of the City and County of Honolulu, published in the public hearing notice on Friday, July 25th, 2025, is not included in today's agenda. The following item was not posted on the agenda for consideration. On page 16, we have a hand-carried proposed FD1, amendment to Resolution 25-210, authorizing the promotional transit fares and special holo card distribution for the opening of Segment 2 of the Skyline Rail project. Copies are available at the City Clerk's office downstairs in room 203. For your information, Councilmember Okimoto filed a disclosure statement of interest statement identified as Council Communication 206 with the City Clerk's office for Bill 50 relating to real property taxation. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Present.
Councilmember Kiaina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Present.
Councilmember Toba?
Here.
Councilmember Tupola?
Ao.
Councilmember Wire?
Here.
Chair Waters?
Here.
Mr. Chair, 9 members are present.
Thank you. Floor Leader Kia Aina, introduction of guests.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to recognize HPD Interim Chief Vanek. We also have the Director of Transportation Services, Roger Morton, Director of Department of Facility Maintenance, Jean Albano, Executive Director Lloyd Yonenaka for the Neighborhood Board Commission, members from the Honolulu Police Department and Department of Ocean Safety, nominees for our city boards and commissions, and of course, community stakeholders and community leaders with a big contingent from the North Shore today.
Thank you. I also notice Chief of Staff Andy Sugg. Thank you for being here. Vice Chair Tupola, motion to approve the minutes.
I move that the minutes of the 11th session be approved.
Member Kiana for the second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, the minutes have been approved. Moving to page 4, the order of the day. Vice Chair Tupola.
I move that Resolution 25-191 be adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Tupola for the explanation.
Relating to the appointments of Christian De Quevedo, Angela Knight, and Harris Nakamoto to serve on the Neighborhood Board Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you so much. I see the nominees are here. Why don't we start with Christian De Quevedo? Aloha. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, esteemed council members, for having us here today. Soy Christian Thomas Johnson Rafael Garcia de Quevedo. Soy la familia Garcia de Quevedo. It is a proud honor to be here to help serve our people in the community and to help be a voice for those who at this time more than ever feel voiceless. We appreciate the opportunity to be heard, and we will do everything we can to make sure that those who are unrepresented are represented here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We also have Angela Knight. Aloha, welcome. Nice to see you. Would you like to say a few words?
Sorry, I have difficulties with your mic always. Hi guys, most of you know me as Angie. I am honored to have been nominated for this position, and also a big thank you to our community members and to the Neighborhood Commission, who continues to put their efforts into making the neighborhood boards into a space where everyone can feel like they can share their opinion, but not just share it, but that action is taken afterwards. So mahalo for the nomination, and mahalo for listening it in and taking action for the concerns of your constituents and our community members.
Thank you. And we have Harris Nakamoto present as well. Aloha, Mr. Nakamoto. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. It's truly an honor. I recently completed my first term on the neighborhood board for Makiki, Lower Punchbowl, and Tantalus, and ran for re-election and then got re-elected. And so it's very important for me to serve the community and create open communication with the residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions for any of the nominees? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one remote testifier is registered standing by.
Please proceed.
Is that me? I just want to make sure this is Gregory Masakian.
Aloha, welcome.
Aloha. Just wanted to make sure you had the right person. I see a hand up. Aloha, Chair Waters and members of the council. My name, I go by Greg Masakian, but my full name is Gregory Masakian, and that's how I submitted my testimony, and that's how my name appears today. Thank you for the short time I have. I know it's very brief, so I'm going to go as quick as I can here. I currently serve as the president of the Kokua Council, which is an elder advocacy organization. I also serve as a director on the Hawaii Alliance for Retired Americans. So I'm very focused on kapuna in the state. I was also formerly a Waikiki neighborhood board member for a little over 2 years, from January of 2023 through June of 2025. And I know that change is needed there. I ask that you read my testimony, and in the few seconds that I have left to testify, I want to say that I'm happy to see change, but there are a lot of issues that need to be addressed at the NCO, and just simply reading my brief testimony will provide some guiding light. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Masakian. Members, are there any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Good to see you. Mr. Clerk, I do believe we have one person with their hand up, but are there any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the registered testifiers.
Okay.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. So in favor of the nominations, although I don't know the nominees personally, except for Angie Knight from Institute of Human Services. Whoop, whoop. You go, girl. So I'm really excited that she's getting the opportunity to serve. It's such an honor and a privilege to have a public platform and to elevate the voices of the community and to elevate the standards, to set an example and a good action plan for others that need that direction. So especially in such a chaotic time, I'm really excited for those that were nominated to serve because I think they're trustworthy and that they can really enhance the quality of life and have positive voices in the community to really address the drama that's on neighborhood board.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony. Any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Members, any discussion? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the nominees for serving. I just want to make a comment because we, as you know, we're in the throes of the Charter Commission, and we are all looking at ways to, if people have suggestions. So I just want to make sure that you are aware that you have Kuleana in that regard. I'm going to be working actively with my own individual neighborhood boards to see if they have mana'o. Collectively or as individuals, because now is the time. You know, throughout the years that I've been on the city council, we always have people talk about flaws in systems. The testifier just talked about it. And I would say to him as well that this is the opportunity for everyone to feel empowered to make recommendations in an official or personal capacity. And that goes for all of the agencies for the city who's in the room, as well as the general public. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tupola.
Yes, thank you to all three of you for serving on the commission. Not only is it a grassroots thing to be on a commission, but you're part of the grassroots organization called the Neighborhood Board, so you're grassroots. So thank you so much. You know, last night we had our neighborhood board in Waianae, and we're still struggling having it in the tiniest room in the DMV that nobody fits in, and we have to stand the whole time, and there's no bathrooms. So not only are we grassroots, but we really just trying to get by. So whatever you guys can do to help our neighborhood board succeed, and whatever we can do as council members, we're here to support you. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations to the nominees? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 25-191 has been adopted. Congratulations and thank you for your service. Moving to the bottom of page 4 from the Committee on Public Safety and the Economy, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that Committee Report 256 and Resolution 25-179 CD1 be amended, as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Confirming the mayor's appointees to serve on the Ocean Safety Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you. I note that we do have a number of the nominees present. Thank you all for being here. I'll give you the opportunity if any of you want to speak to please do so. And also, members, do you have any questions for any of the nominees? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, one registered testifier in person here in the chamber.
Okay, is that Shelby Billionaire?
Yes, sir.
From the Ohana Unity Party?
Hello, my kako, everyone. Thank you very much. Pikachu Shelby Billionaire here live. We just had our Waianae neighborhood board meeting, and I didn't want to bring it up, but since we already brought it up, we was very dysfunctional, but we had the Ocean Safety come here, and they're very consistent. Some of the days they'll come up to report in Nanakuli board meeting, we have about 50,000 people coming to our beaches. But you know, there's a lot of homelessness, drugs, they're doing rescues in the ocean, firefighters are helping, and they don't really say much, they don't get a lot of credit, but they come in looking just like me with slippers, suntan, burnt, and they're working very hard, very hours. And they don't really tell the numbers, because you got 25,000 here in Makaha, 30,000 here in Pokai Bay, another 25,000 coming to our beaches, and there's not local people. You can still see the local people there when we film the Kapuna Council. So I support 100% the Ocean Safety, their department, and what they do. They deserve definitely more support from the community and them in the oceans when they're risking their lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd now like to turn over to the community if anybody would like to testify. Tim Geary, aloha and welcome.
Good morning, Chair, council members. I'm in support of confirming the appointees. I would like a detailed timeline of how we're going to set up the commission. Meeting rooms, when the meetings are going to be, who's going to be the chair, as soon as possible. I don't want to see this drag on for another 3-4 months. They got an important job, and I'd like to see them get at it, not drag it out. So good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Would anybody else like to testify? Seeing none, members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the testifiers, and I just want to say that I 100% support our lifeguards. We're super grateful for what they do, and a few years ago there was some pushes, and then finally the push to make their own department, so they're still brand new. It's still actually new for us to stay the Ocean Safety Department, and now we're standing up the very first commission. When I introduced the resolution that created the charter amendment, it's so cool to see it come full circle that the community supports it, and now we have commission members that are getting sworn in. We need to remember that we do stand on the shoulders of giants. This all started from Duke Kahanamoku. We have greats like Rel's son, like Eddie Aikau, like Uncle Brian Kaulana, all kinds of people that were part of this way back when it wasn't a department, when it didn't have good funding, when we didn't have the right equipment. They were still out there saving people's lives. So I'm very proud of this commission. I'm grateful that all of them have accepted, and the two things that they're going to focus on are helping the Ocean Safety Chief, the selection of it, and making sure that that's a good representation for the department. Secondly, developing a clear plan so that we as council members can know the priorities. We're coming up on the budget cycle, and we need to know how can we help this new department thrive. We don't want it to not have enough, but at the same time, we won't know unless we hear from you guys what those priorities should be and how we should fund those. As we confirm these first members, I want to express my full confidence in their ability to lead and ensure that the lifeguards have a strong and permanent voice at the highest level of this department. I believe they will do right by our lifeguards and by the community they protect. Mahalo nui to all of you. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And wanted to just echo those sentiments and really mahalo everyone that, that went through this process and for your willingness to serve the community in this capacity, understanding it's a volunteer position. You're opening yourself up to public scrutiny, you're serving the community. And just from your years and years of advocacy and the conversations we've had, I'm confident that you as a commission and as a body will prioritize enhancing public safety for our community and supporting and improving the quality of life for our watermen and waterwomen at Ocean Safety. And so look forward to the work you have ahead, and we're here to support however we can, so mahalo.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 256 and Resolution 25-179 CD1 has been adopted. Thank you for your service. Good luck to you and congratulations. Members, moving to the top of page 5 from the Committee on Public Safety. Councilmember Tupola.
I move that Committee Report 161 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Tupola for the explanation.
Recommendations on the review and evaluation of the Honolulu Fire Commission pursuant to the Revised Ordinances of Honolulu 2021, Chapter 3, Article 15.
Thank you. I believe we have one registered testifier, Shelby Pikachu Billionaire. Aloha and welcome again.
Aloha mai kako. Glad to be back in front of all of you. We just had the firefighters at our Waianae neighborhood board meeting, and our community had questions. So when there's a fire that happens, like the one that burnt down Deiki Fernandez, the Kapuna lost her life, we want to know how the fire started. For example, if we try to start a fire with a lighter and whatever, it's not going to happen. You would need diesel, gas, fuel, oxygen, and a spark in order for it to burn metal of that rage and speed. You can blow the wind all you want, but it's not going to happen. So the community would like to know how the fires start. When we confront the firefighters, they don't do the investigations. That goes up to higher command or the police. So with the new commission and our fire marshal, I would like to ask and support the new commissioners, but please try to figure out who caused the fires, what started. Thank you very much, because we feel like it's arson, because that's a higher temperature, melting point to melt metal. Thank you very much. Aloha.
Thank you. We also have David Matlin, Chair of the Honolulu Fire Commission, available. Chair Matlin, would you like to say a few words?
Aloha. Dave Matlin, Chair of the Honolulu Fire Commission. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the City Council. I'll be brief as I provided updates in our recent City Council meetings, but just want to give a little overview of what's been going on. The Fire Commission has been active over the last few years with a major initiative to visit all the fire stations and facilities. To date, we have visited 32 of the 43 stations, as well as the maintenance shop, training center, and joint operations management center, and as well as a temporary helicopter hangar at Kalailoa Airport. We appreciate the fire department's administration for being open to us visiting these, and also their willingness to meet with us to meet with various executive team members to talk about many issues in the administrative offices. To be more efficient with document management and archiving, we have also created an online document portal to better organize and store our materials. This initiative will help us to improve access and record keeping. Additionally, we have assigned pairs of commissioners to focus on 4 key areas of commission business: HFD budget review, annual commission report, fire chief evaluation, and citizen complaints. Recently, we created a new performance evaluation for the fire chief that's more aligned with current times and the current strategic plan, and that will be used in 2025. Another thing we've talked about is having meetings at different meetings throughout the community. We had our first meeting in Kapolei, and we plan to schedule another one in the community shortly. And we continue to update our website with appropriate minutes, and I want to thank our secretary, our part-time secretary, Nadine, for her efforts in that area. Really appreciate the opportunity to present at today's meeting.
Thank you, Chair Madeline. Really appreciate you and your hard work. Members, any questions for the chair? Councilmember Tupola.
Hi, Aloha Chair Madeline. Real quick question. I know you went through that really fast. Are there any things that you guys suggested or came up with that you are going to be suggesting to the Charter Commission for any changes, or are these all things that you guys just are going to handle within the commission?
I think these are all things we're going to handle within the commission. At this point, no.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any further questions for Chair Madeline? Seeing none. Thank you again, Chair.
Aloha. Thank you.
Aloha. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 161 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 5, Resolution 25-200, confirming the appointment of Christopher Magnus to serve on the Police Commission of the City and County of Honolulu. I do see Mr. Magnus here. Aloha, welcome. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Aloha, council members. It's such a pleasure to be in front of you, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to serve on this important commission. This means a lot to me for several reasons. I, first of all, care very much about public safety in our city. This is my home. It's the home of many members of my family and friends, but so many other wonderful people across the island. And so I think the role of the commission is very important, and I hope there are ways that I can help both the police department and the commission do its work. I also, I hope that my many years, I'm also reluctant, almost scared to say how many, but yeah, it's been about 44, is that possible, years in policing. I hope those years can help me be a good resource to the commission. It's given me the opportunity to have experience in a lot of areas: labor relations, officer wellness initiatives, recruiting practices, and many other areas. And so I hope I can be helpful, obviously, to the public, to my new colleagues, and of course to you as well. And then finally, I think even the very best police departments, and this is certainly one of those, need to be held accountable. Accountability is incredibly important for any public safety agency. And I say that as a chief, over 23 years as a chief in 3 different departments. I know how important that is, whether it relates to conduct of personnel, budgets, community feedback. Accountability is important in all of these areas, and I think the Police Commission plays a very important role in that. I'm fortunate that I've had some experience along these lines, not only as chief, obviously, but through my work with the DOJ's Civil Rights Commission, looking at pattern and practice investigations in several cities, including Ferguson, Missouri, and others. I've also worked with the Office of the DC Auditor, looking at, obviously, including performance audits for the Metro Police Department in DC and the operations of the jail. And then finally, I've done a fair amount of work with the with NACOL, It stands for the National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. Boy, it's a long name, but an important organization. So I hope I can bring all of this to be a useful and productive member of the commission. I know a lot of important things lie ahead. So thank you so much for considering my nomination.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the nominee? Councilmember Cordero, followed by Tupola.
Thank you very much, Chair. Hi, Mr. Magnus. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve. And you do bring a wealth of knowledge, and not just in serving as chief, but also education-wise and even auditing, as you mentioned, in DC. And so, along with being and serving on the Police Commission, and I'm sure you are very well aware that as a commissioner, that you will be communicating with the community as well. I mean, especially when you are holding the commission meetings. And I was wondering how much knowledge and, with you just ending your employment in DC back last year, how much you have a stake here in Honolulu.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to answer that question, because I have a big stake here. First of all, this has always been an important place for me, going back and forth many times, even from different places that I've lived and worked on the mainland. This has always been a very important place because I have, as I mentioned, family here. I'm now here with my husband, helping to take care of his mother, who's terrific at 80. You'd hardly believe it, but it's wonderful to be here with her. As I said, many friends, a lot of commitment to this community and to this island. And look, I recognize I have a lot to learn. I bring a lot of humility and respect to this job and to the community that I'll be serving. So my investment is very high.
Thank you. And I know that you mentioned a part of the work that you did was included working with the Civil Rights, division or department you were with. And so with that, I represent a lot of communities in my district that don't have the best relationship with our police department, because of high crime and certain communities and also responses from HPD. So just wanted to ensure that as they garner up the courage to even go to the Police Commission, which some of them have been able to do so, that you hear them holistically and understand where they're coming from culturally as well. So mahalo.
Thank you so much. And I understand that concern completely. That's been part of my goal in every job I've worked in, whether it's been with Native communities in different places or others. So I thank you for that concern, and I agree.
Thank you. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. Aloha, thank you for being here and for being thorough in your background. I do think that we're fortunate to have someone with police background. I will say that watching the Police Commission hearings, my main concern has been that no one really knows like the exact, what would you say, like rank and file concerns, because unless you're an officer, you wouldn't know those things, right? Why equipment's not being given out, or why training isn't up to date, stuff like that. So I really am thinking, in the public safety hearing, we can have a longer conversation that there needs to be more of that. In a resolution I recently introduced, I'm just really concerned, we really need to hear the rank and file on what needs to be improved. And I'm not sure how that happens, because I know many of them are not at liberty to say all the things, but I would imagine that you as a former chief would be able to know some of those things, ask the right questions. We're in the search for a new chief of police, so this is a crucial time. So I'm looking forward to talking more with you one-on-one and in the Public Safety Committee, but I'm just grateful that you have been willing to step up in this capacity, because we need it. And I think it's timely to have somebody with this background and that's not going through the stress of it. You've been there. I saw you listing that you did Shop with a Cop and PALS. All of these officers have been through those days, and we thank you for your service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. I also look forward to a meeting with you to learn more about your serving on the commission as well as your background. Can I ask first at the outset, did you seek this nomination or did the administration ask you?
Well, if I may, it's a little perhaps off the normal course of how these things work. I'm sort of semi-retired. I don't really retire well, as my family would tell you. So I follow closely what's gone on with policing in Honolulu. And I had some thoughts about maybe some things that could be done in terms of training opportunities, ways to involve the community a little bit more, thoughts around community policing. And I sent an email to the mayor and his chief of staff saying, I wonder if I could just have a meeting with you to express some of these thoughts and see what next steps could be in your opinion. I was actually quite surprised when I got a response back saying, yeah, we'd be interested in hearing what you have to say. I came into that meeting. We had a fairly lengthy conversation. And, the mayor asked me if this is something I would be willing to do because he was obviously interested in having somebody with a policing background. I indicated maybe my response to start wasn't exactly what he wanted to hear because it was maybe I need to know a little more. I want to understand what I would be doing. I want to be confident I could have an independent voice and contribute really as best I see working with, my future colleagues. He assured me that would be the case. He put my nomination forward. I felt grateful for that, but it is a bit of a circuitous path as to how we got to this point.
No problem. I just needed to know because it's important.
Sure.
So you weren't seeking it. You just wanted to offer your kokua and then they nominate. And I appreciate that. I just will say this. First of all, I got calls on your behalf of people you've met with and they had high regard for you. And I have no doubt. Having said that, I guess my comment more is for the administration and maybe the mayor's chief of staff, because I can appreciate the diversity of background that you're going to bring on in law enforcement. But we also need a law enforcement background from here. You bring a lot to the table, but the culture of HPD and the cultural diversity that we have here is completely different. And I think I just would encourage the administration for future nominees that you take that into account because you have another nomination coming up with Karaoke Naga, right? And then by the end of the year, you have Ann Botticelli, which I highly recommend that you renominate. So I just wanted to send a message to the administration. But thank you. I just needed to seek clarity. I look forward to meeting with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any follow-up, Councilmember Okimoto?
Thank you, Chair. Aloha and good morning. I look forward to also meeting with you and thank you for your expertise. I really enjoyed looking at the background that you have. My question is, I've asked other commission nominees for this commission as well as others, but being that this police commission is probably the most prolific and in the media, and we have the task right now of having in search of a new chief, a permanent chief. What are your thoughts on having the commission do it versus having an outside consultant do it, or having us having to then contract outside to have the commission get help in selecting the chief? And what has been your experience in your previous positions outside of the state?
Well, I've participated as a candidate in the process in both ways, frankly. I think, and I have more to learn. I'm not coming into this with preconceived notions or the idea that I've got this all figured out for sure. But I do think there can be both, frankly. I think if you bring in the right kind of consultant, and you prescribe, the right role that they can play, I think there is still a good consultant or a good firm of this kind should be working very closely with the police commission and frankly other stakeholders, community, council, and beyond, to see what kind of candidates would be desired, and then to help bring forth some potential candidates to talk with and to evaluate. But I think there's really room for the role of both the commission, and if a firm is chosen, that firm as well.
Thank you. I look forward to having a more in-depth conversation with you one-on-one. And I have to agree with what Council Fleury or Ke'aina mentioned, that I'm hoping we can really look into whoever the chief is, that they understand we are unique here, and we want to make sure that whoever is selected understands who we are and the diversity that we have here in our city. But thank you so much for putting yourself in there and being willing to give advice to the administration and offer your support as well.
Councilmember, if you would indulge me just to make one more comment, because I think what both of you have said is so critical. I have come in as a new person into two communities that were phenomenally diverse. Both Tucson and Richmond, California could not be more diverse in terms of their population, cultures, racial, ethnic. I could go on and on. And one of my priorities in those places, and one of the reasons I was successful, was that I did take the time to talk with people, to learn, to understand cultural differences, and to also do that within the police departments. So I would absolutely, as a police commissioner, consider that a priority, and I would want to get out into the communities across the island and also spend time in the police department, ride-alongs and the like. So I appreciate the need for that kind of understanding.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Councilmember Wire?
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to say mahalo again for, of course, making time to meet, to talk through, have such a robust conversation, but for your willingness to be a part of this, and just mahalo to the administration for the quality of candidate that they're putting forward, looking through your resume. Just extremely grateful for your commitment to best practices, the work you've done in community policing, mental health support, civil rights, as Councilmember Cordero brought up. And so look forward to the conversation in public safety, but just wanted to say thank you for participating in this process.
Thank you. Any follow-up discussion? Seeing none. Resolution 25-200 has been referred to the Committee on Public Safety and the Economy. Thank you, sir.
Mahalo. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Members, moving to the top of page 6, first reading items. Vice Chair Tupola.
I move that the first reading items listed on pages 6 and 7 of the agenda pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Tupola for the explanation.
Bill 52 relating to the maintenance of streams and other bodies of water. Bill 53 relating to affordable housing. Bill 54 relating to public transit. And Bill 55 relating to multifamily rental housing program fees.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, sir. We do have some registered testifiers.
Okay, I believe I have the list here. I'll start. In person, we have Michelle Luke, followed by Richard Ching. Is Michelle Luke here? Next, Richard Ching. Hello, Mr. Ching. Thank you for being here today.
Okay. Yes, I'm in favor of Bill 53. However, I have reservations because the cost of the living in these places is exorbitant and there's no parking. It's like a 203 square foot room for $1,500. The people who live there can't afford it. They're on Section 8, so the taxpayers are funding the rest of the bill. We can't get workforce people in there unless we drop the prices. All this other stuff that is in Bill 53 is like a Band-Aid until we just deal with the actual problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Ching? Seeing none. Is Michelle Luke here? No? Okay. I do see Harrison Nakamoto. I had you down for remote testimony, but since you're here, would you like to testify? Welcome back.
Thank you, Chair Waters. Being on the neighborhood board for Makiki, Lower Punchbowl, and Tantalus, we regularly received concerns brought up by the residents that were in the perimeter of 1427 Ernest Street. And so we have a committee called the Nice Neighborhoods Committee, which really is an action-oriented committee. So following these concerns, we actually do a follow-up, and we invite HPD. We also invite our local officials. So we had Councilmember Nishimoto, as well as Representative Belatti, as well as Senator Fukunaga, to listen to the residents and really what their concerns are. The neighborhood has changed. There's a big negative impact. And what it is, it's the, I guess what the project attracts is some negative crime, illegal drug activity, etc. So HPD also shared some data that was very relevant. And so we continue to look at the importance of having some monitoring, whether it be in this case for 1427, there's no resident manager. So there's a lot of activity going in and out, visitors. And so the neighborhood definitely, by our experience and understanding, has definitely changed.
This is Bill 53, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Members, any question for Mr. Nakamoto? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I do have a list of remote testifiers. If you are here, please come to the microphone. Otherwise, we'll take you remotely. Gina Thielen.
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Okay. McKibben Mist.
Mr. Chair, the testifier is also not logged on.
Okay. Perry Arrowsmith.
Mr. Chair, the testifier is also not logged on.
Okay. Michelle Luke again? Nope. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to testify?
Mr. Chair, we also have...
Don Sakamoto?
Yes.
Yes. Please proceed, Mr. Sakamoto.
Good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair, and other members of Councilmember Donna Sakamoto. Is this Bill 54?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I fully want to just comment. I've been attending the Honolulu Fire Commission many meetings now for the rates for the bus, handy van, and Skyline. The 25 cents press increase from 25 cents to 25 is okay with me. I'm not too sure about the other members of the riders that ride the service for handy van. Regarding the coupon, it says pay on handy van with cash, coupon, and maybe the card. Years ago, Citizens for a Fair ADA Ride advocated to take coupons out from the ridership handbook for handy van and say tickets. So that should say tickets, not coupons. And then on the price for on the bill, it says 226 for the handy van ride went to 250. It should be 225, but I fully support this bill to go to committee so I can submit more testimony on this as well as others. And thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion for all items on first reading. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. I make it a practice of not voting no on first reading items, and so I'll be voting WR on Bill 53. I had a chance to read through some of the written testimony, and I wanted to express my disappointment with some of the tone and tenor of some of the testimony in the bill, and I point that out because I know that it's going to go to committee again. I'll read verbatim. One of the testimonies says, please support this bill to keep low income out of our neighborhood. The other says we must forbid downgrading of projects from affordable workforce housing to low income. And while these are just two testimonies on the bill, I worry that they've said the quiet part out loud. From my perspective, everyone in our community, regardless of their income, deserves a place to live, a dignified place to live. And people who want apartments, who choose to live in an apartment area, should be able to live in apartments. This should not be a controversial statement. And so the question is, how do we go about doing it? I personally do not think that this is the right vehicle as it's currently written to do it. There's lots of other ways. DPP's been working for from 2022 and 2023, worked on a Bill 7 committee to review the original ordinance 1908. And we should be exploring some of those options instead. I also raise concerns because I think there's some interesting technical details that have kind of been glossed over here. For example, how a Bill 7 project in the TOD area would work, given that TOD areas have different parking requirements, and how this would comport with the existing apartment parking standards, which is 1 to 1,000 square feet. So if you have two 450 square foot studios in a Bill 7 project, does this exceed the existing apartment zoning parking requirements? So I express these concerns, and I hope that in committee, when this comes up, we can have a frank discussion about both of these topics.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. Just noting reservations on Bill 53.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on any matter, by the way, on first reading. Seeing none, noting the with reservations from Council Members Dos Santos Tam and Wire, the first reading for Bill 53, the first reading items on page 6 and 7 of the agenda have passed first reading. Thank you, members. Moving to page 8 from the Committee on Budget. Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. I move that Committee Report 247 be adopted and Bill 49 pass second reading.
Councilmember Nishimoto for the second.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
Relating to real property taxation.
Thank you. I believe we have Cody Sula, who's present in the chamber. Mahalo for being here, sir. Please proceed.
Okay, sorry. It's on now. Cody Sula with the Hawaii Iron Workers Stabilization Fund. Good morning, Chair, members of the council. Just wanted to testify on Bill 49. We'd like to testify in support of raising the real property tax exemption for senior citizens from $160,000 to $300,000. We believe that it's a small step forward in helping make the cost of living a little bit less challenging for people, especially for our senior citizens. And it's not just about the cost of living. We believe that the senior citizens, people over 65, they paid their dues, they've been paying their taxes all this time while they work. And this is something that they've worked for. And doing this is just a small step in repaying them and letting them live their golden years out here. You know, while they're living on a fixed income, some of them are still working to continue to provide for themselves. So we're in full support of Bill 49. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the registered testifiers.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 247 has been adopted and Bill 49 has passed second reading. Councilmember Okimoto.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 248 be adopted and Bill 50 pass second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
Relating to real property taxation.
Thank you. We have Cody Sula again.
Aloha, Cody Sula with the Hawaiian Ironworkers Stabilization Fund again. We're in support of Bill 50 in passing and raising the real property home exemption for from 140,000 to 250,000. We believe it's again a small step in helping people remain here in Hawaii and bringing down the cost of home ownership. All right, we see a lot of people that they sell their houses here and they move up to the mainland. We just want to keep our people home. We want to retain our skilled workers, keep them here and living in Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Aye.
Councilmember Akia Aina.
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto. Councilmember Okimoto.
Aye.
Councilmember Talba.
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola.
Aye.
Councilmember Wire.
Aye.
Chair Waters.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 248 has been adopted and Bill 50 has passed second reading. Moving to the top of page 9 from the Committee on Public Safety and the Economy, Councilmember Talba.
I move that Committee Report 255 be adopted and Bill 46 pass second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Talba for the explanation.
Relating to the Honolulu Police Department, requiring the Honolulu Police Department to release certain public information to the media and to the public.
Thank you so much. I know we do have a number of registered testifiers, but I see that we do have Mike Formby here. Did you want to say a few words, Managing Director? Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Council Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tupola, and Council members. Mike Formby, Managing Director. Chair Waters, I did submit written testimony, and the purpose was to make sure that the Council was aware of legal concerns. I did receive a memo from Corporation Counsel that outlined certain concerns with the current language. I think you understand that the administration and the mayor, who is out of state right now, has an interest in transparency, but the concern is that it needs to be within the bounds of law. And I feel like the bill started off with certain public information, and that was really the key. I don't believe that the law, as briefed by Corporation Counsel, allows us to take all the information in the dispatch communications and provide that via a memo with media, an agreement with media. So to the extent we can massage the language so that they can protect the data and the information that need to be protected from the public, I feel like we can get on the same page. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. And this is second reading. We'll have an opportunity to further clarify and work on the bill between now and third reading. So thank you.
Appreciate that.
Members, any questions for Acting Mayor Formby? Seeing none, thank you. I know that we also have, is the police chief, would you like to say a few words? Thank you for being here, Chief Vanek. Aloha and welcome.
Aloha, good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tupola. I'm Interim Chief Rowdy Vanek. I believe we didn't have an opportunity to upload our written testimony, but to save everybody some time, you know, I could read our testimony if you want, but I'll just go on record to say that our position hasn't changed. But I am available to answer any questions that you may have.
Oh, thank you. I do appreciate your written testimony. If you can, maybe give it to the clerk and we can make copies for the members.
Sure, will do.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the chief? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. When you say our position hasn't changed, your position is?
So our position is that we fully support the intent of the bill. We do believe that we should provide information to the media in a timely manner. However, our position is that we shouldn't be releasing our police radio communication or our police dispatch to the media.
And have you submitted any potential amendments for this upcoming committee hearing to either of the introducers?
I believe that we would be in support of the bill if we were to take out the words police radio dispatch and change it to something along the lines of media alert
Understood.
system. So just those specific words.
Okay, good to have the specifics. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And, thank you, Chief. My office did meet with one of your deputy chiefs, and it was a very, very fruitful conversation. So I'm happy to hear that you're willing to work with us and the media to figure
Yes.
out a good balance. Appreciate that very much. Members, any follow-up questions? See none. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I believe we also have Sterling Morita. Is Mr. Morita here? Aloha, Mr. Morita. From the Hawaii Professional Chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists. Very impressive. Welcome.
I'm glad you're. Chairman Waters and council members, I want to thank you guys for taking up this very important issue. It may not seem like much to you guys, but 4 years ago, I wrote a letter on the same subject to the same police official about the problems of going digital and the silencing of police radios in the newsrooms. And we still haven't gotten anything out of it. And hopefully something will come out of it. I wrote a letter to then interim police chief Roddy Vanek during the start of the digital police radios and the silencing of police radios in the newsrooms. I asked, what will happen when Honolulu emergency radios go silent in newsrooms across Oahu? Honolulu residents will get less information or on a timely basis about the disasters and other emergencies. Many leads to emergency calls that spell disaster will be gone because the news media will not know they are happening. Reporters won't be dispatched immediately to help the public know what is going on, and the photographers won't be there to capture the actual scene going on at the scene. As you well know, it is a quick decision to dispatch people in an emergency scene. Even with so-called databases of conversations, it is doubtful information will be readily available if news media even know about what's going on. Well, folks, we're still here 4 years later, and we're still debating the same problems that we raised. The current release of logs about police calls to police is virtually worthless because of lack of information and is only issued twice a day. I mean, hours after some cases, but then you wouldn't know how to respond because they're so vague, you can't even figure out what's going on. Even if Chief Vanek issues information via the social media, it won't help because of the lack of information or description about calls. Chief Vanek says it would take about 15 minutes to post information. That timing is too slow for people waiting to get the dispatch equipment, and people, as you all know, 15 minutes can mean whether you get out of town or you don't get out of town to go to a crime scene. He suggested an online dashboard containing information. We would have grave reservations about that if the police logs currently sent out would be posted on social media. And we don't have any confidence that it won't be much different. Hopefully the chief can dissuade us and make sure that this information gets a little more timely than 15 minutes and is a lot more specific so people can make decisions and figure out what's going on. That's why we urged the City Council to pass Bill 45. Obviously, we would prefer the original measure, but we can live with what you have before you. I ask you to let the news media do their job without blinders. And you may not think it's important, but it really is to get to the scene of a particular incident. I want to thank you for taking up this issue, and I want to thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Morita? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Next, we have Shelby Billionaire.
Aloha mai kako. Once again, we're here with all of you guys. I want to thank you all. I wanted to testify on the last police commissioner's testimony for the resolution of Christopher Magnus. Has to do with Bill 46 and everything was coming down because I have to go to the police commissioner's meeting at 2 o'clock today to do a public testimony and confession. It's going to break your hearts. What we found out over this weekend, we discovered organ harvesting and human trafficking on the Big Island, 30th Street. Luckily, we got a rescue, and I can tell you this story publicly in front of the news, in front of Olelo, in front of the people behind me, I'm a constituents. It was a 16-year-old girl. We can't say her name. We'll just call her Anna. Anna is 16 years old. She was stuck inside a house on 30th Street in HPP. She was found hidden in a tunnel which connects to a fire station in Hawaiian Paradise Park. That's not a real fire station. You know, they got a fire truck. There's no manning there. There's no firefighters there, which is why I'm testifying with the Fire Commission and everyone, because I want someone up above the chain of command to do something about it. Who is the perpetrator? A U.S. Marshal named Jason Davis. Jason space Davis. He's in charge as a U.S. Marshal entire of state of Hawaii. I've already sent this to the Honolulu Police Commissioners, to the U.S. Marshals, the White House, President Donald Trump, and above the chain of command. Now, what are we going to do with Bill 46 with comms? If Pikachu get called to the Coconut Wireless to do something about this, what are you guys going to do about this when you're in City Council, Police Commissioners, and we need comms to go through? The media needs help, the people need help, and the constituents are afraid to come to confess to you, to come to here, to testify, or to police commissioners, not only on Big Island, Maui, neighbor islands. For some reason, there's fear, retaliation. Why can Pikachu do this? How come he's still alive? How come he's not killed yet? These are the questions I get after I leave here, but I will still be at the police commissioners at 2 o'clock. So with the comms, you have to secure the comms because you can find it in Las Vegas. You can hack their frequency. It's pretty easy. And there's also online radio for the communications. It's not very hard to figure this out when you're dealing with the KGB, the cartels, triads, Yakuza, who are already outsmarting, outworking you with their budget. So please use your brains, work it together with Chief Vanek so we can get some stuff done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Brenda Salgado, followed by Katie Pickman. Good morning.
Aloha kako, Chair
Aloha.
Waters. I'm Brenda Salgado, Assistant News Director and longtime assignment editor at KGNB, now Hawaii News Now. I've been doing this job for about 38 years. And I'm here to support Bill 46. When I started my career, one of the first things I was taught was how to listen to the police scanners. The dispatch channel alerts you when there's a big public safety event, such as a fire, big accidents that clog our freeways, island-wide police chase, possible child abductions, plane crash, a manhunt that could be in your neighborhood, or a huge earthquake, which triggers a tsunami warning like we had last week. All these events relate to public safety, and that's where HPD and the media should be working hand in hand. As you all know, last Tuesday's tsunami warning caused a huge traffic jam. The freeways and surface streets were clogged. Drivers were either moving at a snail's pace or not at all. My news crew was trying to get to the Haima press conference at 5, and they were stuck. So we missed that, but we got information out. It looked like they were going to make it, but everybody was stuck. Had we had police scanners, we could determine where the clogged areas were, give people information, tell people to like stay in place, go to higher ground. But you know, our newsroom was silent. We got the HNL alerts, great, but there was a lot of information that was delayed. So we couldn't get information out to the public in real time. This is why we need an agreement to get the dispatch channels back. We've had so many meetings with HPD and other first responder agencies, and other agencies have told us they have no problem with us, listening to the dispatch channels, but HPD is the gatekeeper, so that's where we are today. So I'm hoping that we can come to a resolution, and I'm thankful to Chair Waters for pushing this through. I mean, we are here now, and I'm hoping we can continue the conversation, but come to some agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Next, we have Katie Pickman, followed by Christina Lockwood.
Aloha, Chair Waters, Vice Chair, and esteemed council members. My name is Katie Pickman, and I am the General Manager of Hawaii News Now. We are here to work with the Honolulu Police Department to serve our community. Our coverage during the tsunami threat on Tuesday, July 29th, just a week ago, is a clear example of the vital role local media plays in public safety. Over 9 hours of continuous wall-to-wall multi-platform coverage, we worked with HPD and other officials to provide calm, accurate, life-saving information to the public. Our digital coverage alone reached over 5 million video views that day of concerned people in Hawaii and those that care about them outside of our islands. Access to timely and accurate information from HPD during emergencies allows us to inform the public quickly, prevent the spread of misinformation, and amplify critical safety messages. Our newsroom is staffed by some of the most seasoned journalists in the industry. You just heard from one, Brenda Salgado, 38 years in our industry, and they protect sensitive information. That's a top priority in our work. So we're committed to maintaining professional standards, upholding the privacy while delivering information that can save lives. Bill 46 provides a framework for responsible limited access to HPD radio communications for established vetted media organizations. This is not about sensationalism. It's about transparency, trust, and the ability to keep our community safe and informed when every second counts. So I respectfully urge you to pass Bill 46. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you for being here. Next, we have Christina Lockwood. Aloha and welcome.
Aloha, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for hearing us. I really appreciate everything that Katie and Brenda said, and I would like to say on behalf of KHON, we also are very committed to serving the community. We are really interested in providing more information to keep people safe. I spoke on this a week or two ago. We want to work collaboratively with HPD. The current system is not working. We don't have enough information. The loss of the police scanners has negatively impacted our ability to serve the community, and we really need your help to make this right. I think in general, there's a lot of opportunity to provide more transparency to the public, which also would be a benefit to HPD because it provides more trust between the public and the police department. We are not trying to cause harm. We are only trying to help and to do our job, and we really need your help to make that happen. So thank you so much for the opportunity to hear our side.
Thank you, Ms. Lockwood. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I believe that's all we have for registered testifiers. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, yes, we do have some registered testifiers awaiting online.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Brent Colbus, followed by Chris Leonard.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, council members. My name is Brett Colbus, veteran, live in Ewa Beach. I stand by my testimony in strong opposition to Bill 46 in its current form. As a 26-year Navy veteran, I understand operational security. Real-time police communications often include highly sensitive details such as victims' identities, ongoing investigative information, personal addresses, and tactical police operations. Granting immediate media access to these communications, even for credentialed journalists, creates substantial risks. Raw, unfiltered transmissions can be misinterpreted, accidentally released before authorities are ready, or even exploited in ways that endanger police officers, victims, and bystanders. I'm sorry to say, but I don't trust the media with this extremely sensitive information. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Leonard. Aloha, Ms. Leonard. Mr. Leonard, I can see you.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, it wasn't allowing me to unmute. My name is Chris Leonard. I am the president of the Hawaii Association of Broadcasters, an organization that represents over 100 television radio stations across the state. I stand on my written testimony submitted with a few additions. I'll attempt not to rehash everything my fellow broadcasters have said in their testimony. We share very similar views in that regard. But I think it's worth mentioning that scanner traffic is often the first signal of a developing crisis. And it's something that we use not to sensationalize, but to mobilize our teams to be prepared to provide accurate information quickly. And I think here's the key. Minutes matter in many situations. I want to be clear. We share similar views to what the chief expressed previously and also what the managing director expressed. We're not asking for all information. We're not asking for information that would violate federal law or state law. But what we are asking for is access to as close to real-time information as possible. And every situation is different. So some situations that information is going to come quicker. As it pertains to tactical information, most of that tactical information is not on a general scanner channel, as I understand it. That information is transmitted elsewhere. There are ways to address this security. We are in complete support of being federally and compliant with both federal and state law as it pertains to personal information. But there's a way around this if we are willing to work together. I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take us working together, as has been recognized by a number of testifiers. These have been ongoing conversations, but we have not made progress on this. I feel we have an opportunity here to make progress. I feel we have an opportunity here to address some things that are of concern. I think we all share similar interest in keeping our community safe, both on the media side and also on the police side. There's a way to do this. There are many jurisdictions around the country. There are a handful of jurisdictions that have unlocked their digital scanners. But there are also many jurisdictions around the country that are still analog and have information openly available, and they're able to navigate the waters of personally identifiable information. There is a path forward if the parties are willing to meet and discuss it. And we thank you for your leadership on this issue, and we're hopeful that we can continue to have productive conversations and get this bill across the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Leonard? Seeing none, thank you for being here. That's all I have for registered testifiers, Mr. Clerk, unless you have another registered testifiers.
No, Mr. Chair, that concludes the registered testifiers. We do have two persons with their hands up remotely standing by.
Okay, why don't we finish that up, then I'll open up to the public here in the chamber. So let's go forward with two people who have their hands up via Zoom.
Good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair, Council Members, Donald Sakamoto for the record. I support Bill 46 in some content, as was stated with the media and with the Honolulu Police Department. There needs to be some kind of dialogue to get some information to the public. As a person that used to listen to the old scanner analog, I was able to hear different crime scenes or whatever was going on. Since they went to digital, it's very difficult, but I fully support. We need to prepare to have this available to our media. So the famous quote I always tell you, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail, by Benjamin Franklin. So let's prepare and do the right thing, work together, and make this bill come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. Mr. Clerk, who's our next testifier?
We have to, Mr. Misakian is standing by remotely.
Please proceed.
Aloha. Aloha again, Chair Waters and members of the council. I also want to echo the previous testifiers from the media and the last testifier that I truly believe there's a middle ground here. I recognize there's legal issues, there's implications that have to be met to support not providing some personal information. But what I would just like to say is that it seems that LA has figured this out to some extent. They do allow their primary channels to be available to both the public and the media. But I do recognize that there are encrypted channels that they're utilizing also. So I think at the end of the day, we just need to come to that middle ground and ensure that the public and the media have that urgent data that they need when there's an emergency or an issue. As we know, our society is ever evolving into urgent things. We've got wars all over the world. We've got the tsunami that came unexpectedly, and we've got sometimes, unfortunately, emergencies where there's gunshots or things that the public needs to be aware of so that they can shelter in place. And just knowing that from the primary channel, the initial information is really key. So I just say we echo also what LA is doing and maybe look further into Los Angeles and other big cities. I know not all of them share that though. So I know that Chicago is kind of going in a different direction. So with that said, I support what the media is saying, but I recognize the need to have some limitations.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, any other remote testifiers before I move to in-person?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the remote testifiers.
Thank you. Tim Gary, please proceed.
Good morning. I'll be short. I support the Chief and Managing Director Formby on this issue. I think the website, I use it all the time, HPD, to find out stuff that's going on in Waikiki. And we use alternative apps to find out. And we get the information quicker than we get it from any of the news media. So I don't understand if these private sites can get it and they're not down here complaining. So anyway, I support the Chief's position and Managing Director Formby. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to testify on either side of the room? Seeing none, members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Could I ask a follow-up question to Chief Vanek, please,
Sure.
based on some of this? I had a quick question because the tsunami was brought up and in regards to if they had more information, they could alert the public. I'm speaking about the media outlets. I guess my concern is, say, for example, you guys announce something to the public and it's wrong. You have to go rectify it, or maybe you guys have guys on the ground. What happens if the media announces something wrong to the public? Like, I'm just asking this question because I remember the night of the tsunami, we were all on the phones. Like, I was with you, I was the DM director, I was talking to the major on the ground. There was so much movement. I don't even know what you guys' police scanners sounded like, so I'm not sure what people were telling each other, but what is your thoughts?
Well, before I answer that question, I'd like to maybe comment on some of the things that the media provided testimony on. I think they did an excellent job that night on providing the public with information. I don't know if anybody would agree with me, but I'd also like to make a comment that they did all of that excellent work without access to our radio system.
Yeah.
Actually, without access to any of the first responders' radio systems. But to answer your question is, quite honestly, I don't know what they would do if they provided wrong information. I know when we provide wrong information, we get called to the carpet on it. I would hope that that same standard would be applied to the media if they were to provide wrong information, that somebody would call them on it as well. I know we oftentimes try to correct that information, and they do graciously sometimes correct the information, but not all the time.
Yeah, and I'm asking that not because anything that they did happen at the Tsunami Watch, and I will also agree with you that luckily a lot of what was coming out was just very clear, and we're thankful for all the media outlets. But I would say that the interim, when everything was getting decided, I just don't know if anyone heard for like maybe those 40 minutes between 6:45 and 7:30 when we weren't sure when the tsunami was going to hit, if hearing all that chatter would have been helpful rather than just when the decisive decision was made and then now it's out to the public. Because even we knew what was going to happen, but we couldn't say it to the public because we don't want to mislead, right? We have to wait until you guys give us the call. Okay, now you guys can post up. Now you guys can share the meme. We shared a flyer about it. Now you guys share the flyer.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is there has to be a place where the essential information is released first. You can't release it from 5 places. I know this because I run this in my community. If 5 people are saying different things at the same time, there has to be one person releasing information. And then from there, that accuracy can then, continue on through other channels. So I'm looking forward to more commentary and the corrections that we need to make inside committee. But thank you to both the introducers. It's important. I mean, I know we're talking about the tsunami, but there were other incidents like, gun chases and other things where different scenarios, different updates. So I think at the end of the day, everyone just wants more clear information. And I would say whoever's running you guys PIO now, I forget her name, but she's doing a great job. Because I've seen some press releases that I was like, wow, HPD is giving out a press release. So good to her. And I think that in general, you guys' comms being beefed up is what we're really asking for. Because even us as council members need that communication from you guys regularly. So
Thank you. So to your good point is, yes, during chaotic times, you do need one very clear voice. And a lot of times listening to our radio chatter, that's not what you want to hear, because it can get very chaotic. And if you're not trained to listen to all of those different voices, that could add to the chaos. And just to give her a shout out, her name is Claudette Springer. She's doing an excellent job.
yeah, killing it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. To that point, though, that's why it's important for HPD to work with the media, because the information that HPD provides presumably is going to be more accurate than the social media posters, right? I mean, as Tim Gary pointed out, that information is out there, but we don't know if it's accurate, versus we have media representatives who've been doing this for decades, working with you.
Yes.
Would be much, much better.
The media is very well trained at what they do. They've been doing it for years, and they are excellent partners with us, working with them. And I've said this in the past, they get out the information that we can't always do it. So my belief is that we need to work with them. But again, we have to balance that point between protecting the information and giving them the information that they can get out better than we can. But we also want to be the direct source. So we're working, like Vice Chair Tupola said, on doing that better as well.
Appreciate that. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. I do have a question, but before I ask my question, I did want to appreciate the dialogue with regard to lessons learned from the tsunami. I do know that Chair Toba for the Committee on Public Safety will be looking to have a hearing on lessons learned. It's not just at HPD. I think it's the Department of Emergency Management. There's room for improvement with the Honolulu alert system, as well as the mapping, because it was quite chaotic that day. And when I was with friends, they comment that in the good old days, because I had people sending me different types of maps, for my district. They said in the good old days, we only had the phone books, but we knew with clarity and certainty where the zones were. But because everyone wants to get fancy and have these interactive maps, which sometimes is not it's not helpful. It's better to have maps clearly delineated for all of our districts so we can get the message out, because I was not able to get messages out to my community. My question to you relative to this bill has to do with the criminal elements who are out there and who could potentially have access to these lines of communications if this bill were to move forward, knowing in certain neighborhoods where HPD is, whether it's big, whether it's small, do you have any comments on that and the accessibility of criminal elements who would be using this so that they know where HPD is so they can, do what they need to do?
I think that's always a possibility. It's a concern, making sure that our radio communications doesn't get into the wrong hands. There have been times in the past where, and not only from the media, but even from our own officers, radios get either stolen or lost. So by providing radio communications in the form of the media having access to our portable radios, anytime radios leave the hands of our officers or our stations, that always becomes an additional concern. So it's always a possibility, yes. So we do want to make sure that we always have that safeguard of our equipment.
Sure. So Chair, I, at this point, would have been voting no on this, but because I was not at the last Public Safety Committee hearing to hear about this, I will be just voting with reservations today. Looking forward to the measure continuing to have a dialogue and appreciate your leadership, and looking forward to it going back to committee to have a dialogue on this. I will say this, for those who are advocating for this, apart from the commercial that I saw on TV, I got absolutely no contact by advocates of this measure in my office, whether it be constituents or a single news organization. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
No, good point. And I think the public needs to understand that the bill actually says that it's limited to access to the media that has a verifiable track record of professional journalism, including the employment of full-time editorial staff, adherence to a publicly posted code of journalistic ethics, and a history of continuous publication and broadcasting for at least 10 years. And one of the things we thought about doing was increasing that from 10 years to perhaps 20 or even 25 years. So just so the public knows, we're not asking that it be released to everyone, right? So there's some guide rails that are in the bill currently, but I'm optimistic because you're willing to work with the media and this body to put further guide rails that addresses some of the concerns that you have, some of the concerns that Corporation Council has. And, I pledge to work with you, the chair, Councilmember Tobo, the chair of the Public Safety Committee, to figure out what those guide rails are. Because I really do believe that when, as you mentioned, when media works with HPD, the public benefits, right? And there is middle ground, and it's worth taking the time to roll up our sleeves to figure out exactly what that is. And that's all I'm asking, members. Let's get this back into Public Safety Committee, see if we can work something out and have the media and the chief come back and say, good bill, let's pass it. That's my hope. So thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha and good morning. Chief Vanek, thank you again for being here and coming to the committee as well as here. I have appreciated your willingness to try and find a middle ground and not compromise, but cooperate. I do appreciate that. I wanted to follow up on a question that I did ask in committee, but I heard another testifier talk about it today, so I want some clarification. And that is based on when we talk about how this is a positive thing and how this has worked in the current state that we're voting on in this bill. There was a testifier that said this has happened in LA and they found success. And in the committee, I did ask you, and maybe even in our personal meeting, are there examples of this being successful? Has this been happening in other jurisdictions? What is their experience? Is it a positive thing, the good and the bad? And so I know you answered it there, but again, there was a testifier who brought up another city. And so have you had experience or knowledge of these things occurring in the current bill that we're voting on today?
Yes, thank you, Council Member. So I am aware of it working in other jurisdictions, but in the jurisdictions that are using it in other locations, their jurisdictions are unique in that they don't operate or work the same way that our jurisdiction works. So, for example, one of the testifiers said that, well, there are certain tactical channels that are available, well, that's not how our system is designed. All of our radio communication for our patrol districts and our patrol divisions, which is what I believe the media is requesting, all goes out on the same frequency. We do have quote unquote tactical channels for our other non-patrol divisions or patrol units, like our crime reduction units, our SWAT or Specialized Services Division, which would be considered tactical, but that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for patrol, so when we get the 911 calls for service. But like I said, all of those go on one frequency, and that's what they're asking for. And those are the frequencies where we run. So the same calls for service, like, I'll give you a call sign, like Bravo 353, head over to 1234 South Street on a report of a child who's choking. Yeah. Okay, 10-4, headed over. All of that radio chatter, once we get there, Central, run me, Ching, last name, Sean, sorry, Sean Ching, I just use that as an example. Date of birth, 3/6/2016, whatever. All of this stuff is coming out over the air. The same channel that the officer is being sent on is the same channel. We're running social security numbers, we're running date of births, we're running rap warrant checks. We don't differentiate. Those are the tactical channels. Central, the guy is running, he has a gun. Or Central, send me help, this guy is punching me in my face. You know what I mean? We don't differentiate between tactical channels and non-tactical channels. Maybe in other jurisdictions they do. So, well, the answer is, well, maybe you guys need to change that. Well, maybe we can, and maybe we can switch channels. But then I think I've already testified to that fact is, okay, well, maybe we can train our officers and maybe we can change channels. But then now you deal with officer safety issues. Okay, wait, you stay there while I change the channel. Oh, this guy just punched me in my face, help, help. Nobody else is hearing me because I just changed the channel and now I'm dealing with somebody who, I'm trying to work with, but none of my beat partners know that. No, really, that's not the answer, is what I'm trying to say. So these are what other jurisdictions are doing. That's not how our department works. There are some other departments who maybe made it work, but they have like 85 officers. We have like 1,700 officers. It's not gonna work the way people are saying it's gonna work here, or it's not gonna work how people are saying, hey, you guys can make it work.
Oh, thank you so much for clarifying that. I know that you had mentioned in the committee the two other states, but that's fair to point out that our municipality is quite different. We are a small island, but there's a lot of people here, and the department has to deal with a lot of calls. So thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate, again, the introducers. I think what Chair Waters had just mentioned, verifiable and the media having the qualifications to receive this information. In your experience, who determines that? Who determines who is qualified to then have access to the police's information under this measure that we're discussing?
So specifically for the security policy that I'm referring to would be the FBI. So the system that we access is the Criminal Justice Information System. That is the system that we use in order to run criminal history checks. And that system is paramount in order for our officers to do their job. That is the system that we need in order to find out what has a person been arrested for before, do they have a criminal past? We not only use that when we go to scenes of crimes, but we also use that during our investigations. We use that to determine if the person has a criminal history. So when we do investigations or convictions, for example, there are laws like a DUI. If the person has been convicted X number of times, their next conviction becomes a felony. We wouldn't know that if we didn't have access to that system. FBI says that information needs to be protected. If you don't protect that, then we could actually sanction you up unto even removing you from that system. That information gets transmitted over our radio system routinely. That is the information that the FBI says you can only transmit that information and share that information with certain people, and that does not, let me repeat that, that does not include the media, because they do not have a law enforcement reason or nexus to receive that information. That's not me saying that, that's the FBI saying that.
So if this passed in its current form and we don't adjust that, or if the media gets access that they're asking for, what does that do with our relationship with the FBI? How does that?
So checking with the FBI, they're against this. They're currently working on testimony, which they will be submitting. I've talked to the local FBI special agent in charge, who has talked to the national director, who is talking to their legal people. And it's my understanding that they also are against it. So they are working on testimony as well, and they'll be coming out with national position. We also have representatives from our police department going up in October to a Major City Chiefs Association conference, a national conference, and an International Association Chiefs of Police conference, International Associations of Chief of Police conference, where these types of topics will be discussed.
They did not submit, I didn't see any testimony.
Not as of yet.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned, members, we're going to try to work something out between both sides, but I guess the biggest unanswered question is, why was it okay when it was analog and now it's not okay that it's digital?
Sure. So since 9/11, September 11th, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has made a dramatic security increase to protect personal PII and CJI. And slowly over the years, they have changed their security policy all the way until even now, where their security policy requires this type of information and police information going over the radio to be encrypted. That's why across the nation, police information or police radio systems are required to be encrypted. That's why you see this type of movement across the nation by law enforcement agencies moving away from analog to digital to be encrypted. A lot of smaller agencies, they don't do it because, quite honestly, they can't afford it.
But if that's national policy, whether or not it's affordable or not, you have to comply.
That's correct. That's actually correct.
Right. I think the Big Island still provides the media access to their police scanners. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
You know, I did ask you during the Public Safety Committee hearing for the CJIS security policy.
Mm-hmm.
I know you put it in your testimony that allowing media access would violate CJIS security policy. Were you able to actually provide that to me and my staff, the actual CJIS policy, so that when we craft the bill, we can make sure we include language that satisfies the CJIS policy?
Sure. I don't believe we have, but I'll make sure that we do.
Awesome. Thank you. Councilmember Tolba.
Thank you, Chair. Another healthy discussion here and in committee. I hope that we will move this measure forward today with the understanding that the amendments are being worked on and will address the legal, safety, and privacy concerns of HPD. Thank you and support.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Okay, members, any further discussion? Seeing none, noting the reservations by Councilmember Kiaina. Any other reservations or no? Councilmember Okimoto?
No vote, please.
Pardon?
No vote, please.
No vote
Thank
for
you.
Okimoto. Councilmember Tupola?
Reservations.
Reservations for Councilmember Tupola. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much, members. Noting the reservations from Councilmember Tupola and Kia'aina and no vote from Okimoto, CR 255 has been adopted and Bill 46 has passed second reading. Moving to the bottom of page 9 from the Committee on Zoning and Planning, Councilmember Kia'aina.
I move that Committee Report 258 be adopted and Bill 37, CD1, pass third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia'aina for the explanation.
This bill amends portions of the state land use boundary map, state land use district boundary map, the Haleiwa quadrangle from the agricultural district to the urban district for certain lands situated in the Haleiwa Special District, Haleiwa, Oahu, Hawaii.
Thank you so much. I believe we have a number of registered testifiers, starting with Frederick Tamayo. Aloha and welcome.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and Council members. My name is Fred Tamayo with the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, and I am testifying in strong support of Bill 37, 2025 CD1. For years, we heard about the housing crisis, but working families like mine are still waiting for real solutions. Haleiwa Backyard isn't luxury development. It's designed for the very people who build and serve this community. Teachers, first responders, and tradespeople who deserve a fair chance to live near where they work. If we keep saying no to every household housing proposal, we're saying yes to more displacement, longer commutes, and local families being evicted from our paradise. Please support Bill 37 CD1 and take a step forward toward real housing opportunities for local people. Mahalo.
Thank you. I note the presence of Senator Awa. Thank you for being here. Would you like to testify? Sure. Please.
Sorry, here's my. Go ahead, Brendan.
Aloha and welcome.
Sorry, I wasn't ready for that. I thought I was going to have to wait. Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members. First time testifying for the record, State Senator of the North Shore of Oahu, here in opposition of Bill 37. What we have here is another example of smart investors working towards land flipping. They've known for decades that if they buy ag land, which typically costs less than residential, and they come here, they follow the blueprint, and they get the city council members' votes, the land that they own, if it's rezoned, skyrockets in value. Now, while I like to stay out of you guys' business because we have so much to do at the state capitol, our community out there is dealing with unprecedented development. We have a foreign landowner of agriculture farmlands out there, Mount Ka'ala, trying to put a gondola on the mountain to attract tourists instead of farming. We have luxury homes being built in Kahuku that we all can't afford, and then we have this rezone from precious agricultural land to urban development. We need homes, we know that, but we want those homes put in places that are designated to be built. And you know, all these types of projects, they put profit over people. They're happening all across the state, and they're causing us, in many cases, to move out. You all have the chance to put the age-old ag land flipping formula to bed. If you need the data and you look back at certain projects that came in here 10 years ago, we had developers come in and they were asking to rezone ag at a place called Ho'opili. And back then, 10 years ago, the property values for 1 acre was about $100,000 to $150,000. If you look at it now, 10 years later, that 1 acre, you can fit about 20 homes in it. Each of those homes are almost $1 million. When you add it up and you do the math, what you get is generational wealth for investors, and you get unaffordable housing for the rest of us. All that matters is the math of you guys' vote today. Personally, I think it's going to be 7-2, but what do I know? I know there's a lot of people hopeful that there's going to be a deferral. I hope you guys vote no to this. But if you guys do approve it and push it forward, I'd like you to consider that when you rezone and you take away this ag from the public and turn it into urban, what you do to offset that generational wealth from the developers is you make sure that 100% of homes are required to be sold to local residents. And two, you tie the cost of those homes to their incomes in the area. That's all for me. If I could just leave you one note, because first time, I hope it's the last time that I gotta come down here, probably not, but you guys know how to do your job. You know, back in the day, the Hawaiians, we were taught the culture was only take what you need, but you pass, if we continue to have City Council's previous practice, today, what we're telling people is take as much as you can, just because you can. Aloha.
Thank you, Senator. Members, any questions for the Senator? Seeing none, thank you. Next, we have Travis Murakami.
Good morning. Aloha, Chair Waters and Vice Chair Tupola and council members. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify in strong support of Bill 37. My name is Travis Murakami and I'm with the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters. This measure clearly meets the legal standards under the law for a state land use district boundary amendment. General welfare, it directly addresses Oahu's housing crisis by creating workforce housing in a region that desperately needs it. For public need, North Shore families face rising rents and limited options. This is a documented problem, and this project is a timely solution. Consistency with plans, the parcel is within the North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan's community growth boundary. It aligns with the Hawaii State Plan's goals to promote affordable housing near existing infrastructure. This project represents smart infill growth, not sprawl. It's a reasonable, responsible use of urban land that is not actively farmed, but is surrounded by businesses and roads. Let's follow the law, the plans, and the needs of our community. Please support Bill 37, CD1. Mahalo for your leadership on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Hagan.
Hello, council members, chair, members of the council. I'm not a public speaker. What I am is a Haleiwa resident, unlike, I think, the carpenters who are here today. I live just off Weed Circle, which is the entrance into Haleiwa, and I'll tell you right now, 6 out of 7 days of the week, I don't go into Haleiwa that way. I drive the long way around down Waialua Beach Road to Haleiwa Beach Road and skip the city, because you can't get through. You know, luckily my kids go to jiu-jitsu late in the afternoon when everyone's leaving. So as they're leaving, I can make it in. That land was bought as ag land. It was bought to be flipped. He bought it, he sat on it. So when people come up and say, it's not being farmed because he can't farm it because then it's being used. He needs to say it's unusable. Hence, he sits on it, he flips it, he makes a lot of money. We as a community suffer. Yes, is there a housing shortage? Kind of, but it's because people want to come to Haleiwa. This is not going to be affordable housing. This is going to be a couple of units that are still high, $2,800 estimated for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that has a parking stall, no storage, no yard. This is going to be, who knows, vacation rentals, people buy them, you can't even buy them, they're going to rent them. And it's just a constant flood of income for the developer, not for the community. We don't need more shops. Haleiwa has plenty of shops. Anything you need in the community, you can find there. This is going to affect Ace Hardware greatly. That's the one thing I'll go into Haleiwa in town for during the day is I have a project at home, I have to go to Ace. It's I drive to Ace or I drive to Home Depot. And I can't, it's gonna take me 40 minutes to get to Ace. I tell my wife, I'll be back in an hour and a half to drive less than a mile and a half. So when people come up here and say, it's gonna be affordable housing, it's not. When people say, it's ag land that's not being used, it's not being used because the developer can't use it and then flip it. So I just ask that you please take and listen to what the testimonies of the residents have said. We have over and over and over again asked you guys, please don't take our ag land. Please don't make what is a rural community into a city. We are a town, we're not a city. We don't want to be a city, we want to stay a town. That's why we live there. We always find a way to make do. People find a place to live. The North Shore takes care of its own. But if people from the outside come in and make us into something we're not, it's gone. You can't get back the country once it's gone. You build it, it's there forever. Those buildings will be the highest buildings in Haleiwa, the 3-story apartment buildings, taller than any other building. You know, it's going to be the center. The access points, there's only 1 and 2.
Can I ask you, what in your opinion, causes the traffic?
It's one road.
Where are these people coming from?
They're coming from Honolulu. They're coming from east side. It's tourists mainly coming in.
Tourists?
And there's only one way in. And they follow the circle through, and they drive straight through. That's why the residents who know go down Waialua Beach Road. We don't go through Haleiwa town. We can't. You'll never make it. And so we're just asking that you keep Haleiwa. It was never designed to be a big town. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the water. We don't have the roads. We don't have the sidewalks.
Thank you, Chris. We do have a lot of people who want to testify.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for your time.
do you have any members, any questions for the testifier? Thank you for being here today. Thank you. Next, we have Linda Molina. Hello and welcome.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you could put the microphone down.
Good morning, Honorable Council. My name is Linda Molina. I am a Haleiwa resident, and I wrote my testimony, so please, I want to read it right now. I'm here to strongly oppose to Bill 37 for the 3rd time. I want to express my deepest disappointment after what I have seen in the last 2 council meetings regarding this bill. I have seen countless testimonials opposing this bill, presenting strong reasons, generations of Haleiwa towners not only asking you, but pleading you to refuse this bill, to protect their homes, but most of you have refused to hear the voices of the people that put the trust on you. I feel unheard in our plea. Now, I will mention some of the main reasons why I personally oppose, and I know many of the community, like we do the opposing of this bill. Agricultural land is a precious resource for our survival. Haleiwa, my degree is an agronomist engineer. Our land in Haleiwa is prime land, If in case of guys, you have to understand, in case that we become, we cannot depend on the chips bringing food here. This is our source of food, Right now it's not being used, but we never know when we need to use it. And if it's cemented, it could be catastrophic. My other point is catastrophe evacuation. A collapsed town can cost many lives. We just saw the tsunami, evacuation. It was awful. It was hours for people. People were evacuating until 6:30. What about if we don't have the 4 hours? What about if it's a bigger wave and we only have 1 hour and a half? How the people would have made it? Please consider our safety. This is the most important. We're talking about our food supply and our safety. My third, quality of living. Long hours sitting on traffic, commuting to work, or daily traffic jams just to go buy groceries. Personally, I live in Haleiwa. I don't live after 10. I don't leave my house after 10 or after before 6 o'clock because you can't even drive, so I can't even imagine with 200 more homes in there. This project, it is unsustainable for the small town we live in. Now the town supplies. Haleiwa is a very small historical town with only one grocery store, Malamas. This project will force to build a commercial center to supply to a larger amount of residents. My other big concern is the aquifer pollution. 156 homes will pollute our precious aquifer. One developer, Andy Anderson, and his construction workers against thousands of petitions and testimonials, but you still choose to vote yes on this bill. My question to you guys is why? Can someone please answer why you're still voting yes after we all asked you to please protect our town? Anyone? Please understand that passing this law will destroy our beloved Haleiwa historical town. First will be the homes, then the shopping center to supply for these homes and our locals and only grocery store Malama will be not enough supply. Then more homes and then more rezoning. This is a bill, it's a law. It will be a law, right? Lastly, I wanted to ask you to please be aware that Andy Anderson in the past replaced a low-income community in Bilan in the North Shore and turned it into luxury homes. Then Andy Anderson built a large restaurant and polluted a precious adjacent aquifer. Andy Anderson, this message is for you if you're hearing this. Please do not forget that you will have to face God. Please do the right thing and donate the land for our community garden for the future of our community and the Keikis. I please kindly ask you to vote no in this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Shelby Billionaire.
Hello, my Kako, everyone. We're back again. This is the third reading. Last time I was here, everyone said yes to reservations except for Mr. Matt Wire. So I have to do a shout out to Matt Wire, who's the council member for everyone behind me in these beautiful green shirts from Haleiwa. I'm from Waianae, as you know, from the west side, but I want to stand up for North Shore and all the kapuna behind me because someone's got to stand up for all they're staying. The traffic sucks. People are going there for Matsumoto shave ice. You can't get parking. I catch the bus. Costs me $3 to get there, $3 to get back, and it sucks. It's terrible, and you're trying to put more housing in there. We can run commercial family. You can run all the money, all you want, but what happens to the people? You got more congestion, more traffic, more crime, and if a tidal wave actually hit, how the heck are you going to move from that 9-foot to 3-foot waves that Ben Gutierrez said on the news? They couldn't even calculate the math. What was the speed from Russia, which is 5,500 kilometers away? The average speed of the ocean depth is 4,500 meters in the ocean to the Pacific, and it takes about 7 hours and 43 minutes from Russia, earthquake, in theory, to hit Hawaii. How the heck did they say 7:10 and 7:17 p.m.? How do they conduct the math? You're not really caring about the people's feelings, so I hope you guys say no. I hope you defer this bill like Senator Brenton Alva said so. Otherwise, I think they're just going to sue you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Deborah King, followed by Denise Antolini.
Aloha, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tupola, and council members. Many of my constituents have already said what I wanted to say, but I want to also say that I do strongly oppose this, and I just wanted to let you know that the Honolulu Star Advertiser is talking about this man bought this land in 2014 and he sat on it, and in 2016 for tax purposes he dedicated as vacant agriculture, so he's never even given them an opportunity to make this agriculture land. So I hope that you listen and I hope that you vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Cheryl Matsumoto. Oh, sorry, Denise Antolini, followed by Cheryl Matsumoto.
Aloha and good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tupola, and council members. My name is Denise Antolini. Today I'm actually representing the A'ole Backyards Coalition. I'd like for you to incorporate all my prior testimony. I wanted to make it a couple of thank yous first. First, thanks to HPD. We did a little rally outside and they were incredibly generous. And thank you to the clerk's office. It has been a big burden on you. I realize that, getting all this testimony. Mahalo from all of us. 3 points. This is a historic day. If the council votes yes on this bill, it really is irreversible. The slippery slope starts to slide. Haleiwa will be forever changed, even if the details are coming later in zoning. This is a necessary first step. This is why the developer and his team is here. So if you vote yes, it is that moment in history that cannot be reversed. Second, we really appreciate your leadership on this issue. There have been some momentous times in the past where the council has changed their mind at the last minute. I have 2 examples. One, Waimea Valley, December 5th, 2005. This council chamber was absolutely packed with community members, and the council vote switched, and Waimea Valley was saved, and it's now in the hands of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Chair, may I have 1 more minute?
Yeah, please.
Mahalo. The second example, I just want to read you this quote from a former council member. I cannot in good conscience vote to approve a project that my constituents do not want. We've had multiple hearings and meetings with a developer who expressed her best intentions to bring affordable housing opportunities to Kailua. However, the area residents have spoken loud and clear, so I urge my colleagues to reject this project. That was Zoning Chair Ikaika Anderson in 2020. The vote reversed on the very last day, 3rd reading. 2 more points, if I may. The record here is very insufficient for a yes vote, and I would say legally insufficient, putting on my lawyer hat. Traffic, the environmental assessment is over 10 years old. A lot has happened in the last 10 years. Evacuation, if you read all the testimony, there is an outcry for help given the recent tsunami evacuation, which was very problematic, many cases, on the North Shore. Fire risks, if you think about what happened in Kaanapali recently, those kinds of risks were not appropriately evaluated in the record. In addition, ag policies of the city and state were not appropriately weighted in the record. The community growth boundary, as I pointed out last time, does not mean, according to the North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan, that everything within that boundary gets urbanized. It specifically says it should be allowed open space and agriculture within the community growth boundary. The need, as you're hearing from the community, is really illusory. If there are no conditions that lock down the things that you think this project offers, if there are no conditions, then it really is illusory to allow the state district boundary amendment. Finally, let me add that we just found out, thank you DPP, that the North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan is coming back to our community next month. That's fantastic after many years of delay, and I appreciate everybody's help on that. That's another reason there should not be a vote on this district boundary amendment today. Don't preclude what the community is going to do with our Sustainable Communities Plan, which we started working on in 2020. And last, I note Zoning Chair Kia Aina and other council members have expressed a support for using Clean Water Natural Lands Fund to have a discussion about a different future for this property. We would appreciate the opportunity for the community to have that discussion with the developer. So I think the council has a pathway forward. Appreciate the opportunity to testify. Mahalo.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Next, we have Cheryl Matsumoto, followed by Alexander Choi.
Aloha, my name's Cheryl Matsumoto. I'm living in Wailua, but born and raised in Haleiwa. I oppose this bill. Act 175, also called the Hawaii Farm to School Act, was passed in 2021 and mandates that the Department of Education purchase 30% of their food products for school lunches, school lunch meals from local farms by 2030. That's 30% by 2030. This metric increases to 50% by 2050. The state believes in supporting local farms will boost the local economy. The DOE plans to have 7 regional kitchens with this mandate, and 2 of these kitchens are going to be on Oahu. The first regional kitchen will be open in the fall of 2027, and it will be located in Whitmore. This Whitmore regional kitchen will serve the schools in Lelehua, Mililani, and the Wailua complexes. So because of this mandate, we need the farmers to to provide food for the schools. If we get rid of the ag land, I mean, we need ag lands for the farmers. There's also programs at Leeward and UH West Oahu that teach people to farm. And these new farmers will possibly need land to farm. So please just vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexander Choi, followed by Earl Dalin.
Aloha Chair Waters and members of the Honolulu City Council. My name is Alex Choi, and I'm testifying on the behalf of the Sierra Club Oahu Group. While we have submitted written testimony, there are several points that I'm going to highlight today. The Sierra Club is strongly opposed to Bill 37, a measure that will permanently disrupt Haleiwa's unique rural character and social fabric, and continue to erode the integrity of the agricultural district and our future food security as a whole. We have a generational responsibility to do what we can to protect and preserve the land that we have been blessed to call home, not just for ourselves, but for our children and the generations to follow. This includes in particular the ability of our future generations to feed themselves and to perpetuate the sense of community and connection that will be the key to their well-being and ability to weather the climate crisis. This measure will not just impact the cherished sense of community, food security potential, and social fabric of Haleiwa and Oahu's North Shore, but set a precedent that undermines the very purpose of our agricultural zoning code and land use laws. If passed, it will signal to landowners and developers that open space and farmable land in any city council district can be redistricted and developed into unaffordable housing for non-residents against the wishes and widespread protests of the local community. Not only would this facilitate the overdevelopment of land and compromise our future food security, but it would also encourage speculation and increase land values that will only increase the cost of housing and bona fide food production across the board. We cannot allow this to happen. For these reasons and more, we urge the City Council to oppose Bill 37. Mahalo nui for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Mr. Choi. Next, we have Earl Dalin, followed by Barb Lupo.
Good morning, people. It's been a heck of a morning, hasn't it? Guys, I'm here to say no for the Andy Anderson's thing. Committee, look at me. Yes, I'm here speaking to you. I'm not here speaking to kids. I'm speaking to you people. Please listen. Do your research on the individual for the last 30 years, 40 years. I can go back, but it's not going to be good because I don't have anything good to say about him. But what I have to say is the country is country. You want to build? We got hundreds of acres up in the mountains. Rezone that. Take you up there and rezone that. Right now, as you pass the bypass, 50 feet away is where Mr. Anderson wants to put all his homes up there. I'm telling you, for a fact, it's not good. Look what happened over the weekend. We had that tidal wave thing. It started at 3 o'clock, a little bit after 3, and they said it was going to hit at 7:15. People were still stuck on the road at 7:15 trying to get out of the North Shore. We're talking about another 400 or 500 cars more. Right now, I look what the sketch is. Only one opening that is by Ace Hardware to come in. And they expect to put to Ace Hardware use that for their parking and their loading. Ace Hardware is there to stay. People, look what the people are looking at. Everybody that came up here today is all negative. What's going on? I've seen the change. I've been there since 1959. The gentleman up here earlier spoke about getting back to his house. I come home, I have to drive down Wailoa Beach Road up to Haleiwa Beach Road to go to my house by the boat harbor. But when I get to the elementary school, Haleiwa Elementary School, it's blocked. Why? Tourists. The island is made of tourists. That's where we make our money. Used to be pineapples, used to be cane fruit, not anymore. Now, housing is what it is. You're gonna put all these houses right next to the highway. It is a major, major mess. Please open your eyes, and thank you guys for looking this way and paying attention. I highly respect each and every one of you, and bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Dahlin. Barb Luke Bo, is it? Thank you.
Hi, yes, I'm Barb Lukepo, and I live in Haleiwa. I saw you guys last month, the day before the tsunami. So there's 3 points I'd like to make. They are safety, capacity, and agriculture. I hate to rub salt in a wound, but yes, the tsunami evacuation in the North Shore was crazy. It took me 2 hours just to get to Wahiawa. The second thing is capacity. You know, our town is literally 1.5 miles from one end to the other. I measured it twice just to make sure. That's less than 8,000 feet from Weed Circle to Haleiwa Beach Park. That's our whole town. We have 1 lane in, 1 lane out. And again, to build 156 homes in the middle of that little town is absurd. Not against housing, but I'm against housing in the middle of that little town. Third thing and most important is agriculture. If any of you guys, please, if you allow me to finish.
Sure.
If anybody watched the PBS special, which aired July 31st, it was titled Getting More Locally Grown Food in School Meals. Senator Mike Gabbert was on the panel along with Natalie McKinney, and it was amazingly informative. Act 175, like Cheryl said, we have to have 30% of our foods locally sourced by 2030 and then 50% by 2050. How are we going to do that if we don't have ag land? If we let our ag land go, where are we going to grow our crops? Also, Mike Gabbert said that we import 85 to 90% of all the foods for school meals at the cost of $3 billion a year. We can do way better than that. And you know, the kids in the school are eating canned fruits and vegetables, canned pineapple. When do we grow pineapple? Again, we can do better than that. Evidently, the legislature recently increased the budget for school lunches from $25,000 to $250,000 to purchase locally grown produce and products for our schools, including meat from the Big Island. It's not just crops. Haleiwa is a great area for ag. The Kokua Land Foundation rented 1.5 acres to a farmer who produced 40,000 pounds of produce. Haleiwa is a great place for ag when it's attempted correctly. The last thing is that I think we in Hawaii need to try to have other industries beside tourism. Agriculture is a great way for us to raise money, and food security should take priority over retail space. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you.
Do I see for questions?
Next, I have Larry McElhaney. I thought I saw him in the audience earlier. Is Raquel Achiu? Aloha, welcome.
Mahalo, Chair, Vice Chair, Council members. Raquel Achu, North Shore. I appreciate the supporters and their pleas for work in their industry, but they don't live there. It's not about housing. It's not about the developer. It's about this type of project and the change of urban that would support this or any other project in the future that doesn't fit our community anymore. The amendment to urban would be a forever thing. And if, in fact, this project didn't carry on or was sold, someone else would have the access to do what this amendment would provide. Okay, sorry. The North Shore is under-resourced and hugely strained to take any more than what we currently have, because we can't manage what we currently have. And yes, the tsunami revealed a very scary reality. We're over capacity. That day, I couldn't get to my mom. If we didn't have a lead time, we wouldn't be here today. We had 3 or 4 hours and I still couldn't get to her. And she's very literally 5 minutes away. I didn't know how to get her out. She's a stubborn Hawaiian lady. You gotta push her out of her house. And I couldn't get to her. I fear what more it would do to have the imposition of more within our town, with our resources being so strained. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Juan Padastao Jr., followed by Mitchell Tainanes.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and Council members. My name is Juan Padastao Jr., and I'm in support of Bill 37, CD1. Just to clear up a common misunderstanding, this bill does not approve the final project, the final site plan, or the affordability levels. What it does is allows us to move forward into the real planning phase. The zoning change unlocks land that's been sitting fallow and allows the developer and the community to work through detailed conditions like unit types, affordability, traffic analysis, and design. If we say no now, we lose the opportunity to shape any portion of the housing project. We've all seen proposals die before they could even be improved. Let's not make that mistake here. Haleiwa Backyards is a serious attempt to provide local housing. The bill has guardrails in place. Let's pass this bill and keep this conversation going. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mitchell Tainanes.
Ooh, need new Velcro. It's sliding. Sorry. Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, Council members. My name is Mitchell Tainanes with the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters. I support Bill 37, CD1, because the workforce housing is needed. And Haleiwa Backyards is a reasonable and responsible place to build it. Yes, the site is in a tsunami evacuation zone, but so are most of our coastal communities, including Waikiki, downtown, Kailua, Lahaina, Waianae. Over 80% of Hawaii population lives in such zones. We don't ban housing, we plan for safety. This project can be built with modern emergency planning, evacuation signage, and clear protocols. The recent tsunami warning showed the need for better communication and traffic management, not a reason to freeze all new housing in these areas. The real disaster happening daily is housing displacement. We should not let rare, manageable risks outweigh the outgoing emergency of local people being priced out. Please pass Bill 37, CD1, so we can move forward with the housing our community desperately needs. Just on that, just wanted to add some stuff. I hear all the testimonies against the project. I have family in Haleiwa. I feel for everybody. Everybody has their say, their opinion. Change is difficult. Growth is inevitable. But we need to do smart growth. The community and the developer gotta have that communication going forward. That's where I think where a lot of the displacement and maybe the anger is from. So if the community and the developer and everybody just get together and talk, it opens those doors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ella Alexander, followed by Olivia Eagle.
Hello, Ella is not here with me, but she expresses similar interest.
My name is Olivia Eagle. I live in District 6, and I am in opposition of Bill 37. I am currently attending Hawaii Pacific University studying sustainability, and I believe that this bill threatens sustainability due to the loss of agriculture, which may be needed for future generations, especially with the upcoming effects of climate change and global warming. And even though I do not live in Haleiwa, it is important to protect the land because it aids in local food production, which is useful for all communities throughout the island. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Yvonne Yoro.
Aloha Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tupola, and council members. My name is Yvonne Yoro, and I'm a resident of Wahiawa, Oahu in District 2. I stand here in opposition to Bill 37 on grounds concerning the precedent this sets when amending the state land use district boundary map from agriculture to urban district. As a community member living in a district largely composed of agricultural land, I fear that these changes signal a misplaced approach to addressing our housing crisis and strip us of an opportunity to cultivate lands with the potential to feed our community. I'm also concerned of the compounding strain that my sister community will bear, given that it has already reached its carrying capacity. Community members and testifiers have already iterated existing need to plan around the daily traffic. It's terrible. And as someone who lives in the neighboring community, I even try to avoid certain areas to not inundate what's already existing, the daily traffic that's already in that area. This land use boundary amendment will not only impact our community this time around, but will have negative implications for each of our communities, setting back efforts towards growing our agricultural industry and preventing our mahiai a chance to feed our families. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. That concludes our registered in-person testifiers. I'm going to turn to registered remote testifiers, then I'll come back to unregistered testifiers. So online we should have Schuler Lucky Cole, followed by Larry McElhaney. Mr. Clerk, are these two testifiers available? I see Larry McElhaney, but is Schuler Lucky Cole available?
Mr. Chair, that Mr. Cole is not responding.
Okay, Larry.
How do I respond?
Lucky Cole is still on?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Please proceed.
Okay, there we go. Hi, Council Chair and Councilman Wire and others. I have been a resident of the North Shore, chairman of the neighborhood board, and resident in Haleiwa, Wailua, and in now Sunset Beach for over 50 years. Our children went to Wailua High School. We have been involved in the planning of Wailua and Haleiwa. We did a small development at the entrance to Haleiwa where the Starbucks is after 20 years of thinking about it. And we did not require a zoning change. I don't think zoning changes should be taken lightly, especially in a town like Haleiwa, especially on the North Shore. I also don't think apartment buildings are appropriate for the North Shore. There's a distinct problem with any apartment building on the North Shore because it's dense and it requires sewage removal. And that it was a problem with the plans for Kayaka Point or Kayaka Beach, and it was converted to a park because of community opposition. Apartment buildings in Wailua, in the Puiki area, have been consistently having problems with their sewers. And so adding another set of apartment buildings behind a Haleiwa town just to add sewage is not a good decision, not a good planning decision, and it's not a good decision for the island or for Haleiwa. A lower scale density commercial development might have been appropriate, but in case of a zoning change, you should get something in return. I don't know what the city's getting in return, except some sort of claim for additional housing. We're now in the 21st century where housing is the panacea. In the 20th century, it was jobs. So anytime a developer wanted to build something, they always wanted a zoning change. They'd claim they needed jobs. They would provide jobs. Now, when somebody wants a zoning change, they claim they provide housing. So anyway, I think it's time for real solid planning to occur and not just random zoning upgrades. Mahalo and aloha.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Next, we have Larry McElhaney, followed by Arlene Velasco.
Aloha, Chair and Vice Chair and council members. Nice to see you again. I would just like to take a few minutes or a few seconds to kind of summarize what I see as being unique about this particular proposal and the process. I've been through a few of these. I think we all have to agree that the number and the quality of the testimonies has been phenomenal. I understand there were several hundred today, 300 or 400 on top of the 200 for each other hearing. So I think we need to take note of those testimonies. There's some real quality work there, and we can learn a lot if we take the time to read those testimonies and analyze them. And I think going forward, you know, it'd be nice if we could resolve this issue today, but I just don't think we can. There's too many unanswered questions. The testimonies raise a lot of issues that need to be addressed. I believe that the process is flawed, and I commend the council members that recognize that from the get-go. There were 3 or 4, if not more, council members that voted with reservations, and a lot of the discussion hinged on the process itself. You have this proposal that's a phantom proposal. You have a proposal when you need it, but it's not really a proposal when it comes time to justify the project legally. So on and so forth. There's, like I said, I think it would be wonderful if we had some more time to finish the discussion and make sure that all the issues are resolved. If they're not resolved here at the council level, they're likely to be addressed elsewhere. And thanks for your time. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. McElhaney. Next, we have Arlene Velasco, followed by Kristen Brown.
Mr. Chair, both testifiers are not logged on.
Okay. Next, we have Gabriel Chun, followed by Indy Paizel.
Mr. Chair, Gabriel Chun is not logged on, but Ms. Paizel is standing by.
Okay. Please proceed, Indy Paizel.
Hello, Council. My name is India Paizel, and I am born and raised on the North Shore of Oahu. I'm a lifelong Haleiwa resident. I have a local business, and I am a new mother to my daughter, who is the 3rd generation born here. And I'm here to strongly oppose the bill changing the zoning from ag to urban. When you look at this bill and all the other developments that are happening on the North Shore, I just keep coming back to who does this serve? And I understand that we have a housing crisis, but it just feels as if the members of our community are never served and we always are bearing the burden. This zoning wouldn't only just be horrible for our community, it would also set a precedent that we can just change ag land to urban in the future. And that is horrible for our entire state. I have stuff about the traffic, but everybody knows how crappy the traffic is, so I won't get into that. But this most recent testimony has over 850 people who oppose this. and 5 people who support it. So I'm not understanding why our elected officials, you guys, are not listening to our pleas to protect our community and to support the people who voted you into office to serve us. It just feels like a big lack of trust and respect. That's kind of all I have to say. We don't want more shops. We don't want more apartments. We want ag land and we want community. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Corrine Gold, followed by Jennifer Humsey.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Gold is not logged on. Ms. Humsey is standing by.
Okay, please proceed, Ms. Humsey.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and council members. Thank you so much for hearing our testimony. This is obviously not our first rodeo in this community. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. My screen says you can't. Okay. I want to go backwards just a little bit to a proposal that we defeated several years ago called Haleiwa Plantation Villages, which was defeated for a lot of different reasons, but this was a similar zone change ask, which was going from ag to urban and would create 27 or 28 house lots, its own waste treatment plant, and would develop housing for the so-called community, but they were being sold as vacant lots. That being said, we had some main points of contention, and I want to maybe prevent everybody from continuing to spend a lot of time on an issue that when we look at the nature of this project with relationship to HPV, Haleiwa Plantation Village, we're going to see a failure on traffic study. We're going to see a failure on a lot of the different parameters that would be necessary to permit this project. That traffic study in their environmental assessment factored a factor of 1.2 cars per lot or per house in order to get a D- on a 28 lot development project. We're talking about 160 plus housing units. And even with the ability to modify this plan and the road coming out next to Ace Hardware, I don't see how this project even has the slightest chance unless the study is grossly manipulated at passing a traffic study, let alone a bunch of other parameters that this project would need to pass in order to go through. I live right in the middle of town. I've been in this particular house for 21 years. And I can tell you that there are days when it takes me an average of 30 minutes to go a half a mile to get to my house. I don't have the option of going Wailua Road to Haleiwa Road because I live dead center town. And this project would literally be across the street from me behind the existing commercial and residential developments. The tsunami was absolutely terrifying. I was a North American Emergency Relief Coordinator for the International Fund for Animal Welfare, and I have a lot of experience with evacuations and a lot of experience with disaster work, and this was an epic failure on the part of the needs of this community, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of guidance, and the lack of response by any of the officials, with the ability to sort of guarantee our safety. Adding additional density within our town puts that many more residents at risk. I, too, got stuck, not trying to get to my mother, but trying to get to my pets and trying to evacuate my animals. And I was sitting on the bridge on Haleiwa Road at 6:53, trying desperately to get away from the one place that the water would funnel and take me out. I am a very well-prepared disaster evacuee due to my past career. And this was brutal. To continue to put us at risk, the people who already live and exist here, is irresponsible. It is absolutely irresponsible. If you have not experienced what it's like to live and work in this community and to try to exist in this overtaxed, overcapacity, we have far exceeded our carrying capacity as a town based on the lack of infrastructure that already exists here. We are not doing anything to help the members of this community. As Indy Pizell said just before me, the community here is never served. We always bear the burden. Funnel 5 million tourists through our 1.5 mile town annually, continue to push people and drive people here to take. But what do we get? Nothing. We don't even have a community pool that stays open more than 3 days a week and is available to families on the weekend. You guys can't even give the resources that exist here to the community to use, but yet you're making decisions about our lives that can never go backwards. The ramifications of this are so severe. And I invite you all to not only defer your vote today, but to come out here and to experience what we experience on a daily basis, trying to navigate. My brother lives 6 miles away, and I believe that my brother and my sister-in-law may testify soon, and ask them how often we get to see each other.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes.
Please take into consideration the thousands of testifiers and opposers. Your job is to represent us, your constituents, our representatives, our state senator, our city council member, our neighborhood board, and everyone who lives in this community vehemently oppose this land use district change. Please hear our voices.
Thank you. Next, we have Robin Price, followed by Alexandra Soren.
Mr. Chair, both testifiers are not logged on.
Okay. Is Zaz Dallin available?
Hello?
Please proceed. We can hear you.
Is this working? Oh, okay, right on. Aloha, you guys. I'm Zaz. I'm zooming here in from the Big Island. I wish I could physically be there. I would just like to start off saying adjusting the community growth boundary at this location will not benefit our town or the general welfare of its community. Case in point, last week when we had the tsunami scare. With Haleiwa being a coastal town with 4,000 residents, we experience over 11,000 cars driving through our 1.5 mile town daily. During tsunami evacuations, residents were stuck in bumper-to-bumper gridlock traffic for multiple hours trying to gather personal belongings, ohana, pets, and just trying to get to higher ground. Just imagine if it was a fire like Lahaina 2 years ago. We would have lost hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. The infrastructure of our town is a major concern, especially when there's proposals for more development. The safety of the residents should be a major concern. Stop supporting profits over the people. This 7.5 acre parcel should remain ag. We all know more and more land in Hawaii is becoming concrete, thus disconnecting our keiki with nature and its way of life. This would be the perfect spot for a community garden or an agricultural park. Imagine a place where community comes together to plant with intention and kids come to get connected with Aina. Keeping ag land ag would be a step in the right direction for food sovereignty, especially since we live on an island with limited resources that's 90% dependent on imports. Now, I'm sure many bills that come to City Council office do not get over 1,500 testimonies to date in opposition, especially from community members. And we have well over 1,300 petition signatures to date on our change.org document, as well as a few hundred physical. But yeah, well over 1,300 signatures, front and back. You can also check it out online, change.org/ALOHA backyards. So please listen to the residents of Haleiwa. We do not want this. Please do not rush this process to convert this parcel. Let's wait to hear back from the developer to see if he's willing to sell. In the meantime, my concerns are, how will the community and the Clean Water Natural Fund land funds benefit from Bill 37 if it leads to increased property value? It's been stated they are willing to purchase this parcel to protect ag land, so wouldn't this boundary amendment only make it worth more? So how can you say yes to gentrification when we need more preservation over progression? How can you say yes to gentrification when we need better roads and infrastructure for public safety accommodations, especially if and when another natural disaster strikes? If you say yes to Bill 37, this gentrification will lead to the displacement of long-term lower income residents and lead to an increase in higher property values and rent. I urge you to truly look into your heart and ask yourself, what legacy will you leave behind for the future generations? Keep Agland Ag. Oppose this gentrification Bill 37. Mahalo.
Thank you. That's all I have for registered testifiers. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to testify? If so, please come forward. And if you could start queuing up to my left. Please proceed.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, CARES, wishing to comment. So in the case of a critically urgent emergency, dealing with evacuation is quick by limiting capacity. So if the town is already over capacity by what was stated in the prior council hearings, there's overpopulation and the infrastructure is aging. And with the council trying to balance the common goals of building a resilient future, sustainable development with economic development opportunities and financial profit for families, I think keeping it agriculture is a good idea because, for example, developing farm structures can also fund construction industry initiatives, and Hawaiian homes can be built on ag parcels. So state policies are already getting farm friendly, and it can further help to enhance the lives of the farmers. For example, working with DOE schools to fund locally sourced foods can improve nutrition and to help move forward farm policies and to create affordability of ag parcels for farmers. Maybe the farmers can't afford it because they don't have funding initiatives to support them. So state policies are pushing forward with the Biosecurity Act. State policies can really help responsible farmers to purchase reduced price ag parcels and perform environmental testing while funding locally grown foods. So I think it's a hard decision to debate what's needed when dealing with overcapacity issues, infrastructure development, affordable housing, and land use policies. So I hope you will make the right decision to hear the community.
Thank you.
Because they can articulate their thoughts very well. Thank you.
Please. You have to push the button that says on. There you go. I want to take a brief recess while we fix that. The reason is because our minutes are recorded, and if you're not able to testify, although I think Mitchell Tainanes might have fixed it. Can you speak into the speaker?
Nope.
We'll
Test. All right. All right. Don't touch. Stay there and hold it.
Okay, wonderful. Please
I won't
proceed.
touch it. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Council members. Just so you know quickly, I'm a little shaky right now because I was actually working and I was listening to this morning and I tried to get on and I couldn't, so I stopped my work and I flew in from Kaneohe. I am opposed to this. Growing up in what we call the city at Halawa Housing, part of my life was raised in Wahiawa, graduated from Lelehua. Our family was always at Waimea Beach. And back in the day, those of us who are old enough, it was a very small one road. You didn't have that type of traffic. What I have noticed being a driver, Uber driver, you do see a lot of development no matter where you go on this island. What I want to share is every time I drive through Haleiwa, I think back when the freeway wasn't there, when most of the shops weren't there. And that was our country town. I considered that part of my town because I was also from Wahiawa. I want to give you just a couple numbers, and these numbers are pretty outdated, sorry about that. Oahu has approximately 100,000 acres dedicated to urban use. Our total acreage on the island of Oahu is about 386 acres. So urban use has already taken up almost a third of our land. As far as for agriculture, and this is again what I'm getting online, it is approximately 41,000 acres of ag land. What I see this is if we want to be self-sustainable, those numbers actually need to flip. I know we can never flip it because of what's going on. We have developers, Ho'opili for one, in Ewa and Kapolei. That was all ag land, well, especially Ho'opili. Not sure about the Ewa side, but Kapolei side. They are now urban, and most of our local people cannot afford to live there. When I drop off my deliveries to them, I ask them, how much you pay for rent? One girl told me, local girl told me, $3,000. I said, you're out of your mind. Because it's very small knit, right? Ho'opili is very small, it's like a building. And she said, but that's all they could afford was $3,000. If we do this to Haleiwa town, we're gonna have that same problem. I did hear people on both sides of the fence. And I understand the construction workers, because my family are all construction workers. However, we have 386,000 acres of land on Oahu, which we see a lot of buildings going up in other areas. What I would ask all of you to think about is once you make this change, you can never go back. I've heard testimony, the developer, Mr. Anderson, has he been really thinking about the people, or is this about the money? And let me call the elephant out in the room. That will be our third smart city if we continue with this. Kapolei and Ewa are already in that mix. So I'm asking, as a constituent, most of you see me here most of the time, think about this. Before approving it, kill it, go back to the drawing table, figure it out, listen to the constituents, listen to many of those who can't make it, redesign this. Do I believe we need more homes? Yes, but we gotta figure out a better way to do this. There's a lot of land on that stretch coming from Waihawa to Haleiwa, which are kuleana lands, but we don't see the people getting it back. What I saw last week was a lot of that land being sold by private entities. That land should come back to the people. And I think that's where we need to continue this fight. It's so quick to allow developers to get these lands so that they can build housing. But for who? Our people cannot afford it. You've heard my testimony before. That rent or purchase of those homes will be astronomical. So I'm strongly opposed to this, but I ask you guys to take this back to the drawing board. I'm not saying kill it and destroy it. Take it back to the drawing board. Stop it now before we all regret it. Thank you, Matt Wire, for going against it. Appreciate it. Thank you, I yield.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to testify we have not heard from? Okay, thank you, members. I do note that we do have Don Takeuchi Apuna from the Department of Planning and Permitting, as well as, I believe, the
Mr. Chair.
planning side. Yes, Mr. Clerk.
We have one more person with their hand raised online.
Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, Chair, and members of the council. Again, Greg Masakian. I'll be very brief because I know you want to move on and there were quite a few testifiers. I don't live in that area. I live in Waikiki. And as I testified earlier, I serve on a number of boards, president of Kokua Council, which is an elder advocacy organization here to help the locals, everybody on the island, but we're focused on the Hawaiian culture. We're focused on kapuna, all kapuna on the island and lesser advantaged. And while I don't speak today on behalf of Kokua Council, I do say that you started today with Aloha Spirit with Pastor Mike Kai, and I've seen a tremendous amount of Aloha Spirit today with the testifiers. With that said, I know this city council fairly well. I know I've seen you many times, Council Chair Waters, at Waikiki Neighborhood Board meetings and other meetings. And I implore you, based on what I've seen, and I'm a pretty good study on these things, and I did a little research on this issue prior. That's why I stayed this long to testify. I actually have other things to do today, but I felt compelled to stay on till the end and just make a final comment. I really implore you all to follow the public, follow the concerns of the people. If there is an issue where there's some need to do some housing on that lot at some point, I ask that you do defer today. And maybe a discussion can be had on mixed use, where the developer is allowed to do a very small portion of that 7 acres. And then in addition, have the agriculture section part of that development. You have to do both. So if you do so many housing units, maybe the people that are in those houses actually run the agriculture. You've got to do both of those as a mixed use, but a very small portion for housing. That's 7+ additional acres. And if you followed the studies and read the articles and know what's going on, many thousands of acres have been lost to agriculture over the years. And it's just, as everybody said, it's the land, it's the Aloha spirit, but it's the land that you're losing. And these are islands. This isn't mainland. This is something you'll never get back. You need to have the ability to feed the people. So with that, I could go on, and I'm sorry, I know other people did the same thing. It's a very emotional thing when you see what's happening here today. So I implore you to either vote no or defer, because this needs to have much more discussion on the table. Mahalo.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any further testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Okay. Members, we are in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
For Department of Planning and Permitting, please.
Aloha Chair, members of the Council, Donna Puna, DPP.
Hi, Aloha Director. I just had some follow-up, and some of this might be repetitive from the committee hearing, but I want to ask some of the same questions. This bill has over 800 testimonies in opposition because there's a project attached to it that no one is in favor of. The boundary amendment, is it only requested because of a project? Because a lot of the concern of what people have is that this boundary amendment equals the project. And quite frankly, like when we have our hearings, they present with the bill. So I know we're not voting on the project, but can you clarify or just kind of specify why that is? Because if it's not that part of our vote, it is kind of deceiving to the public that it's actually discussed every time we discuss the boundary amendment. But what are your thoughts?
That's a good question. When people come in for boundary amendment, it is strictly to just change the state zoning, in this case from urban to agriculture. I think that what the applicants want to do is they kind of want to give an idea of what that could be. So it's not necessarily set in stone, but it gives an idea of what the applicant is likely to do. But so yeah, it's connected, but it isn't necessarily part of the review and analysis to the extent where this is exactly what's going to happen, and that you're approving the project. You're approving the ability to use the land use to change accordingly.
Yeah, because I personally don't support the project, its size, the AMI, anything about it, the traffic congestion. But when I read the North Shore Sustainability Plan and the community growth boundary, what I understand is that even if the boundary amendment is changed, that land would still be zoned ag. Is that correct? As of right now. Isn't it ag 2 right now?
Yes, I believe it's ag 2 under the city zoning. Is that correct? Yes.
And then if the state land boundary, the one we're voting on, if that changes to urban, what is it zoned?
It's still, the city zoning remains ag 2 until that is changed.
That is super confusing. I'm just going to say that for the public, because moving something to urban and then saying, nope, it's still ag is, it's disheartening because I think a lot of people in the community are not sure that that's actually really what's going to happen.
Right.
You know, because the word urban equals plenty houses. Yeah. In the North Shore Sustainabilities Plan, it states specifically that Haleiwa is supposed to remain rural and have a rural characteristic. Is that correct?
Yes.
And my concern is that this project being proposed is low-density apartment, which is not rural. Am I correct?
Right.
So that's also part of this whole conversation that's very difficult, because I personally, as somebody who represents a very rural area, do not support low-density apartment in the rural area. So in the North Shore Sustainability Plan, it has rural residential, low-density apartment. But this project is low-density apartment. It's not rural. And I think that's really why there is a lot of alarm in the community as to how this doesn't match. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the hundreds now that people have asked for it to match what they're talking about and for the infrastructure to be addressed. Last question, and then I'll yield to my colleagues. I know that the traffic study was in discussion and it still needs to be done. One of the testifiers brought up a good point, which is if the traffic study comes back inconclusive, like there's no way to mitigate it, would we have done all of this for nothing? Because again, these are with the hopes that X would happen, Y, and then Z, and like we don't know that any of that's really going to happen. So what happens if the traffic study comes back and there is no capacity to support something like this? Then have we done all of this for nothing?
I mean, I think the state, so if you do pass this, you'll still have this state change in the zoning, but again, it's the difference between the state level or process for the state urbanization versus the city's zoning. So that's the next step.
Different.
Right.
That part is very hard for people to understand because I myself had to read so many documents just to try to understand where we're at with all of this. Those are my questions as of right now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. Director, do we have any other members from the administration here? Besides yourself or the administration DPP?
I see Andy Kawano.
Okay, yeah, maybe for the two of you. This is a very difficult issue for all of us, not just for the community, but for those of us on the zoning committee, as well as every single member who's here. We get exactly what the community is talking about, but at the end of the day, we have processes. You know, as a native Hawaiian, I wasn't too keen on the Great Mahele when it introduced private land tenure to Hawaii. And since that time, in the imposition of Western law, we have private property rights and processes that have to be followed at the county, state, and federal level. So we have been engaging in a multitude of dialogues about what we wish could be on its merits, regardless of what people think about the developer. The fact remains he is a private landowner who has a right to pursue this. Having said that, given, you know, the discussion on how we all collectively could determine the use of this land, the idea of acquiring the land, whether it be via the community or the city, I think deserves further discussion. And I think that, I guess I'm not to put you on the spot, but I've told you we've talked about a community garden for under the Department of Parks and Recreation. We've talked about a transportation mobility hub, which the Department of Transportation Services is looking at. We've also talked about, you know, for those who have testified saying if it's going to be affordable housing, we want it 100% affordable at lower AMI for those who live there. And as I mentioned the last hearing, because of a new ordinance passed by the City Council, there's a local preference policy now. So would the city, putting aside all that we're discussing today for that property, would the city be interested in engaging in a dialogue and acquiring this property?
I myself, as the head of DPP, I don't have the authority to say that we could do that. But what you're mentioning, these different options, I think they're out there and they can be explored.
Yes, is Director Cuano here? Because I know that if any city agency is interested in acquiring the property, they'd have to work with you, correct?
Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. That's correct, yes.
Okay, and do you have any thoughts?
I think we would need to engage in that discussion and evaluate, what's best for the community.
Okay.
Because we serve the public.
Okay, and of course, you have to have a willing seller.
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
And Chair, so the reason are we in discussion, by the way?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I was discussing with various stakeholders here so that I could, add some dialogue to this conversation. Okay, so thank you, Director Cuano. So, Chair Waters, just given this dialogue again, I take to heart the kuleana that we have with regard to, giving any private landowner the opportunity to comply with the appropriate laws and processes, right? But given what we've heard and the fact that the city might also be interested in this property, as well as the community, I respectfully ask for a deferral of this measure.
Okay, is that a motion to defer?
Yes, it will. I offer a motion to defer, and you can keep it at this level, or you can determine whether it goes back to zoning. Now, I need to tell the community that I make this a motion. I don't make it lightly. This is not. It's not about the opposition. As someone who is very empathetic to community and agricultural lands, I have taken the emotion out of this issue. But in light of the fact that we seem to collectively agree that there are various ways to achieve our objectives, whether it be 100% affordable or stay in ag land, I do believe that that warrants that. So I just want to make that clear, okay, to the community. So I am making a motion to defer the measure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Members, we are in discussion. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to note I fully support the motion and would be voting in support, and don't really have much more to add to discussion because I can't really add to everything the community shared today. It was so in-depth and on point and reflective of everyone's experiences and knowledge of the area. I just wanted to echo and relay that I do think the public safety issue has come to the forefront, understanding that, the bypass went in to redirect a lot of traffic years ago, and seeing what happened with the tsunami. I know Clark Little, I think, has the drone footage online, and then Nikki Shenfield's Quechua article on Monday had some photos too, which everyone's seen by now. And I know it happened in town too. We've talked about that. It happened in a lot of areas, but with the covenant restrictions on the bypass and not being able to access that, and currently only having one access point for the parcel until the easement discussion is resolved, I think we would just be setting ourselves up for problems until that additional community conversation occurs. I want to note, and I'm not going to presume that everyone that testified today thinks the same, but SAR advertiser column that really stood out to me the other day from several community members who are here today and have testified noted that we support affordable workforce, senior, and legacy plantation family housing. And so just wanted to highlight that because I know some coverage has noted the idea of NIMBYism and other issues. And so just want to acknowledge that there's been a lot of work and conversation about the Wailua Mill Camp project. That's 350 units. That's huge. 350 units for a community to be saying, hey, we welcome that, or welcome the conversation about that, knowing it's 100% affordable, right? would be supporting kupuna already living in that particular area and then creating additional units in the already existing framework of where plantation housing was. And throw that out because I've been up there a couple of times with the administration, who I know is working to support the developer too, and would also just acknowledge in Kahuku, the Walkerville Kuku Mill Camp area also has projects where the community's been asking about. And so just want to encourage the administration to continue to partner with the community on that, because I think everyone agrees there's a desperate need for housing. And I think just the unique nature of this particular location raises a lot of concerns. And so just want to acknowledge the Planning Commission, who said the commission finds that a more bona fide community engagement needs to be conducted. And I don't think that's something that they say about all projects all the time. And so I think that's of note. And again, just want to mahalo everyone on both sides that came out, because I think where we can come together and acknowledge that we want to protect our communities, have a sustainable future with, the administration working on the city's first food systems plan. I think that'll be pretty cool to work through, but also how do we increase housing in areas where it's appropriate and support our local workforce. I think the more we can come together around these issues, the better we'll be off. So just wanted to mahalo. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Chair Waters, I just wanted to clarify the deferral would be to a date and time to be determined by the chair. I just wanted to make that clear, that I'm not, so at the appropriate time, we could revisit the measure.
Well, let me ask you this. Would it be more appropriate to recommit back to your committee, which would allow you to perhaps massage the matter?
Okay, I'll be open to that.
Okay, will you withdraw your motion
Okay,
and your second and
okay.
restate the motion,
I'd
please?
like to offer a motion to recommit this measure back to the Zoning and Planning Committee.
Second.
Second, thank you. And I'll incorporate your same arguments, Councilmember Wire. Okay. Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you to everyone who came out, and thank you for showing aloha to one another. It was a very respectful conversation, and there was no tension between people, which I appreciate. I think when I read all the documents, because I read all the things, what really stood out to me was that the word said community growth boundary, which means that it should be determined by the community, and the voices of the community were saying X, which was hard for us to determine that a proposal that's attached to this bill is not the community's desire for growth. So it was kind of contradictory. But I did write out that in my mind, when I thought of a community growth boundary, I thought of lots of opportunity, open space. Maybe we move all the city buildings off the main road and get it in the back so that there's less congestion. Maybe we create a soccer park, maybe that pool that Haleiwa doesn't need, a food hub. I mean, sky's the limit. But the word did state community growth boundary. And so I think that that needs to be determined, because truly in the 2021 tourism study, 83% of people being dissatisfied with traffic is because it's horrendous. I live in like 4 hours of traffic a day on the west side. Don't even get me started on our traffic woes. But Haleiwa is handling so much of the population because you guys have 12,000 tourists a day, according to DBET, 12,000 tourists a day in such a small town. So I really feel like we gotta assess and address the infrastructure of those roads, because it's not a joke and we can't take it lightly. To everyone's point about emergencies, that's not the time when we should address it. So thank you to Chair Kia Aina and to all who have been involved. We've been listening very diligently. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. I do want to point out, I did speak with Roger Martin from DTS. He does have an idea about maybe building a parking lot where the tourists can park outside of Haleiwa, hop on a bike, and ride bike into the community. That's been discussed. I know we have someone from the Bike League here, so maybe we could work together on that. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections to the motion to recommit? Seeing no objections or reservations, the Bill 37 CD1 has been recommitted to the Committee on Planning and Zoning. Thank you, members. Okay, it is now 1:20. Shall we take a break for lunch? All right, so let's come back at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock gives us 40 minutes. Thank you. We're in recess.